to this channel. I've decided to try and set something up because so many people were not able to see and access the last video that I made, or the second to last video that I made, that is called a very provocative event, that was looking at certain events that have been happening over the September 28th, September 29th period. So I've just tried to set something up here. It's just a little, I've just decided to put the video on my tablet, and I think that would be a better way for people to see. And because I'm using my own account, I think that it will be free of ads. I'm not really good at this live streaming business. I think this is the second one I've ever done in 6 years. So here's okay, let's just try it. Let's just try it and see if it'll work. Hello again, and welcome to the Master's Voice. Sorry, I don't have that many moderators in the stream, so I don't know if YouTube is going to put ads, but I don't think so. So please, let's just make the best out of it. I'm going to leave it here running for the next 3 hours so that those who missed the live stream, hello everyone, so that those who missed the video and those who didn't catch the video yesterday and had it ruined by ads and all that, you can see it. I just want to say, while I'm here, it was really heavy on my heart. I'm still working on something now to do with the Israel prophecy. God laid it on my heart almost as soon as I went offline, that I did not really dig deep into everything that needs to be said. I walked away. I went to go and get some dinner. And this word, I think it's called APAC. APAC was heavy on my heart, but that is not what they used to be called. They used to be some kind of Jewish lobbying group that used to have in their title what they were. They used to have the word Jewish in their title. And then I think it came to the point where they had so much power in the United States that some natural-born Americans were getting uncomfortable because they were getting so much money in donations. They were having so much power. They became such a controlling lobby that Americans were saying that they should actually disclose, that they should disclose where they were getting donor funding. And it turns out that they were getting donor funding direct from the state of Israel. And Americans were upset by that because they were saying, how come a foreign country will donate so much sums of money into entities and organizations that are within our borders, and then those entities and organizations will be so powerful as to have such a loud voice in the politics, such a loud voice in our society. And so they set up a situation whereby, this is very odd actually, they set up a situation whereby they wanted to set up a commission of some sort where they would have to, APAC under its old name, where they would have to disclose where they were getting money, who was funding them, who were the major players, where were they taking orders from. And this was a long time back. The photographs that I had seen 2 days ago were actually in black and white photographs and clippings and things like that I was watching on Instagram. And what happened was the pressure became so loud, and it was actually coming from President JFK. And then shortly after that, he was killed. And if you're living in the United States and you cannot draw parallels between the loudness of the voices of the people, as the people in the country begin to notice certain things and they begin to raise their voice, there's always some kind of shooting. There's always some kind of event. And if you're going to live in this country and you're continually going to let the same set of circumstances fool you and scam you again and again and again, then there's a problem. It means that you're not learning at the same rate as the lessons are being taught to us. Hard lessons, very difficult lessons. You're not learning at the same rate as the lessons are coming by, and you are not adapting. So I'm going to leave you here with this video. I think that this is the best way to allow people to watch the video without ads. And then after, I think it's about 3.5 hours long, I'm working on something else. So I'll just leave you here with the video to keep you company, and then I will come back when it's done. God bless you. I am Celestial, and you're welcome to this channel. To old and new subscribers alike, you're very welcome. This is just a brief video that I think is necessary to update Master's Voice subscribers, casual viewers, those who may be here on the channel for the very first time. If this is your first time, you're very welcome. This is just a brief collection of a few things that the Lord was bringing to my attention on Sunday, the 28th, 2025. This is the kind of video that I said when I have a few pieces or more than just one tiny piece, something that traditionally I wouldn't open the blog and print it there because it's not long enough to make a comprehensive prophecy that maybe is a couple of dreams or at least a long enough statement. Then what I do is I collect those little pieces and then I will make a video, and sometimes they have different dates. But this one was just a few different, I guess you could say it was a few different angles that the Lord was showing me, some in my sleep and some when I woke up on Sunday, the 28th. Today is Monday, September the 29th, 2025. So all these little pieces I received yesterday, some in sleep, and then when I woke up on Sunday, the 28th of September. So in my sleep, the first thing that happened was I was fast asleep, and I think I had 6 dreams of Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is the, I guess you could call him the man who's in charge of the Department of War. So that is his job in the United States government at the moment. And I'm sure by now most Americans know that there has been a most urgent meeting of a very strange nature that has been called by Mr. Hegseth, I'm sure with the knowledge of the president himself. Every United States general in the world was given during last week exactly 7 days to make their way back to the United States for an urgent meeting of the 5-star generals, I guess the 4-star generals, the top brass, these guys are usually called. They were all told to report back to the United States for a very urgent meeting that has had the whole country in a tizzy. Everyone has been making a video about it, and everyone has been talking about it, and even news media outlets, though faithful to report the fact that the meeting is a reality, that the meeting is going to happen September the 30th, Tuesday, tomorrow. Nobody really knows what the meeting is about. And I myself am not here to claim that I have knowledge of what the meeting is about. I do know that God was showing me Pete Hegseth, but fortunately or unfortunately, I did not see him doing anything. In fact, this dream strongly reminds me of the way I was seeing President Donald Trump in the dream that I posted in 2022 that is called MAGA Deception and the Beast. I said that I kept dreaming of President Donald Trump, and in the dream, all that was happening is that he was approaching. I was standing under a street lamp and he was approaching out of the darkness. And that's all the dreams were, different dreams just showing him closer and closer and closer, until he finally got close enough. And then all he did was give me a warning. What he said was, shut your mouth or something bad will happen to you. So that was the threat he gave me. And then that dream stopped. In these dreams that I had, I dreamt of this man at least 6 times, and all I was seeing was his head floating. I don't know if you've ever seen the creative device that we sometimes use in the movies where a character is having a memory and then a head will appear here, and it'll be the mom telling the character something from the past. And then another head appears here and it's the best friend saying another thing. And usually it means the character is trying to solve something or memories from the past are popping up. That's all it was. I kept seeing Mr. Hegseth's head popping up at this point up here, and he would have an expression of being displeased. But you know, sometimes there's different ways of expressing displeasure. So usually he was just pressing his lips together and he was looking directly at me. It doesn't mean that he might have been focusing on me. He could have been focusing on me, or he could have just been lost in his own thoughts. And God was showing that. However, the 6th dream is the one that deviated from the first 5. His head would appear here, or I would see his head in the distance, like his head and maybe his neck. Sometimes I saw him like a portrait of a bust, you know, up to about mid-chest area in a white shirt and his tie. And each time he had an expression of displeasure. But in the 6th dream, it was the only time that I could recall in the dream that I spoke. In the 6th dream, Mr. Hegseth looked enraged. he was extremely angry and he was very infuriated. And the reason he was is because the sixth dream is the only dream that I spoke. And I said to him, you cannot do that. And when I said that, he got angrier. And then I said, it doesn't matter if you are angry or not. You are not allowed to do that. That is not allowed in America. You can't do that. And I was rebuking him in a strong tone. And I was telling him that whatever it is that was in his mind and in his heart to do, he is not allowed to do because it is not congruent with how things are done in America. I was telling him it doesn't matter that you intend to do it. And it doesn't matter that you think you can. You are actually not allowed to do that. And you would not do that in any other circumstances. So do not do that. The dream ended, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the only dreams that I remember from the night of the 28th. It was not a night that was busy with the Lord communicating to me. But then moving on to the second thing that happened, God woke me up with, I'm talking about clear clarity, about 30 seconds before an instance of something that I talked about here, just before the Lord began to strongly push me into prophecies of the California earthquake. I shared maybe a day or two before God pushed me into suddenly giving me California earthquake prophecies again and again and again. But before I knew that I would ever go there, I just remarked to people on this blog, something odd has happened. And sometimes we need to be very attuned to what God is saying to us, because we can't dismiss anything. That is the reason that I'm sharing, for instance, the dream of Mr. Hegseth. It doesn't exactly show anything that can be definitively pointed to. However, in the shadow of a massive government high-level meeting with the people who are tasked with keeping the United States safe, it definitely does have some weight. It definitely does have some relevance. And I've already shared here that it is not my place to decide which of God's dreams and which of God's messages is important, and then put those ones out and then decide this one was such a tiny one and I may not also understand what it means, so I'm going to put that to the side. I don't handle the work of this blog like that. As far as I'm concerned, everything is important. Everything has relevance. And as we have witnessed over time, it is amazing how Yah goes into his own vineyard and plucks the vine that is ready. All of it has been sitting here and I'm working diligently to complete it. But then all of a sudden we lift up our eyes and we can see that an America, Iran, Israel thing is happening. And yet that was a vine that was planted in 2021. Or we can look and see an American falling in the rankings, America embarrassing herself on the world stage, America becoming an object of mockery. And then yet that was planted in 2020. So God is the one who decides the relevance. I'm just the one who goes ahead planting the seeds, and they will grow in their own time. 2 or 3 days before I started back to back sharing earthquake prophecies, I remarked that my apartment had been shaking. I mentioned that I don't live next to any train line. There's no heavy machinery being operated nearby. It's a normal residential area. I'm not near any major highway whereby you could say, oh no, it's probably the long haul trucks that are shaking your house as they go by on the highway. I'm in an ordinary neighborhood, in an ordinary building, and yet I shared strange things had been happening for about 2 or 3 days, in that I'm sitting in my house, and usually I like to work on the floor. And then the small things in my apartment start shaking. The glasses, the plates, things that I have on top of the fridge, but not the floor itself. I'm sitting on the floor, and I never said that I felt any tremors in my own body. The floor appeared stable, and yet subtly, things that are movable in my house was rattling. Well, 30 seconds before that started, on Sunday, God woke me up, and it wasn't a groggy, just a moment, please. It wasn't a groggy, sleepy, oh, I'm not sure what's going on. I woke up and I was so clear in my mind. I was so clear and aware of my surroundings. And 30 seconds later, everything in my apartment started to do that subtle shaking. And for the next couple of hours, for the next 3 hours, as I decided, well, let me just get up and start getting ready for church. I could actually get a few things done before I head out. For the next 3 hours, periodically at about 20-minute intervals, this apartment that is here in Brooklyn, New York City, was definitely shaking. At no point did I feel shaking through the ground with my feet. What was happening is that everything in the house that's not tethered, everything that's not big, like a table or a chair or the couch, every small thing, plates, cups, saucers, everything that I have on top of the fridge kept going, and it wasn't small tremors. It wasn't like, 5 seconds. No, it was like 10, 15 seconds of sustained shaking. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder if I should really ask my neighbors if they're noticing this, or if they're seeing anything like this, but I decided I opted not to. But this thing happened for 3 solid hours until I got out the house. And when I came back for the rest of the day, it didn't happen again. And as it was happening, I remembered something that the Lord said to me before I fell asleep. And I'm going to read it. Before I fell asleep, I'm going to read it out. It was just a few sentences that he said to me concerning a chapter that I keep saying, we have to go through that chapter. I've been through that chapter at least a minimum of 6 times in the years that I have been here. But Yah keeps coming back to this chapter because this chapter is going to be instrumental to Americans understanding that their judgment and their punishment is set. It is a most distressing thing, truly, from the perspective that I have of being one who is safeguarding and stewarding God's words, to see how stubborn people are in America. And for purposes of what I'm going to say next, I'm going to absolutely X out people who don't know Jesus, people who have fallen away from Jesus, maybe because they have soul wounds, they've been wounded in church, maybe something happened in their lives and they called out to God and they didn't understand God's purpose and what was happening to them. Maybe it was the loss of a spouse, the loss of a child, the loss of a family member. Yah is present in all the ups and downs of the human life. Yah can work in the midst of what seems like devastating pain. Yah has meaning in everything that happens to us, because to imagine a world in which events can happen to us where things are good, blessings come, opportunity comes, promotion comes, uplifting comes, great joy comes, a baby comes, a spouse is found, a company is finally up on its feet, the company finally begins to perform worthily in the 2nd or the 3rd year, and you begin to reap exponential benefits. For humanity to imagine a world in which blessing can easily be attributed to God, as in God is present in the world as I'm getting blessed, but then God somehow leaves the world when shadow comes. God somehow leaves the world when a terrible accident comes. Suddenly God is absent when I'm in pain. For human beings to conceive of a world like that just speaks to the dichotomy, the split brain that is inside us. What it means is that we are very capable of erasing the presence of God when it seems convenient to us, because when we're going through times of pain, times of anger, times of falling down the rankings, when we begin to decline in life, sometimes even when we begin to decline in importance because we're increasing in age. The society we inhabit now doesn't have respect for older people. The society we inhabit now treats older people like a burden. It treats them like something that is just to be endured. Young people have not learned, probably because their parents before them have been very busy, very pressed by the environment, by life. Or maybe the parents before them are nursing grudges and see no reason to bring their children up with love and appreciation for the elderly. So we have about 2 generations or even 3 generations still living that don't know how to honor the elderly, don't know how to value them, don't know actually how to dialogue with them to bridge the gap, so that the wisdom and the wealth of understanding that is in some of them can traverse the years and come into the younger person, so that they can avoid many heartaches. And so even the elderly find that as they increase in birthdays, they decrease in importance. And that can be painful for a lot of them. They feel overlooked, they feel rejected, they feel lonely, they feel misunderstood, and that sometimes informs the character that some of them have. They can be very grumpy, they can be very dismissive, they can be very rude, they can be very triggered, they can be very many things. And so we have these gaps operating, and for human beings to assume that when things are good, then Jesus Christ as a sun is shining on them, but then when things are bad, then Jesus Christ is somehow the one who's responsible for it. Or when bad things coming, they assume that God is now helpless, because humans feel helpless when bad things are happening. We often feel that our hands are tied. We often feel the blade of pressure, such as the pressure of the company downsizing, and you don't have an up-to-date resume. Maybe you've been coasting in the company, you thought you would be there forever, so you didn't update your skills, didn't update your resume, didn't update anything in the last 10 years. And now, boom, you find yourself in a recessive economy. You find yourself on the brink of the biggest American depression that we are ever going to experience, ever in our generation. And you find yourself drinking water with massive holes in your boat and sinking fast. And now you don't know what to do. You feel pressured if there's an eviction, if there's a loss of a promotion, if there's a loss of a house. People might be about to repossess your house. You might be one paycheck away, one missed paycheck away from losing some kind of government benefit, losing some kind of government coupon that keeps you in a house, or losing your car, or losing your home and having to go to the shelter. For people to assume that God is helpless because they are helpless, and so if they cry out to God and God doesn't answer right away, then they get mad and they get so upset and they get so furious at God, and they want to basically cast him out of their lives. It literally does not work like that. Nothing about God constrains him to work within the limitations of the human brain. He is far too big for you, your tiny self, to think that you can assume him a role in your movie. You are just one of millions of pawns moving around in God's movie. And so it can be very strange to observe the way that people are dealing with God, and nowhere more, for instance, sadly, than in the Christian church. The people who are supposed to know God the most often exhibit huge, gaping, empty holes of nothingness when it comes to knowing their God. And when you don't know your God, you will not know how to act around God. You will not know how to act around God's word. You will not know how to act around God's messengers. And you're bound to mess yourself up. And so God brought to mind, again, I wasn't even doing Bible study in Isaiah 8:13, but he brought to mind the stubbornness of the people who live in the place called Babylon. He brought to mind again, speaking to me with caution, brought to mind again how stubborn Americans are. And just putting aside those who are outside and just working with those who are in the church, it is very strange and disheartening to me to see how stubborn and hard-hearted, how arrogant, proud, and totally out of the loop, totally out of any kind of meaningful connection with Jesus Christ and what Jesus Christ is concerned with right now. Most people in Christianity are. People in American Christianity. I'm not speaking about those who are practicing American brand of Christianity outside. I said American Christians, the American Christian church, are so woefully, almost to a man, out of touch with God, that truly, I have to bluntly tell you, that the Christian church in America is on the eve of its greatest punishment, for judgment begins at the house of God. And yet the people in the church are the most adamant that they are highly favored, that they're blessed, that they're the children of God. They don't want to listen to reason. They don't want to listen to the chastisement that is coming. They don't want to listen to the waves of punishment that have already started lapping at the shoreline before it goes out and forms one of the greatest overwhelming waves of judgment to the church that has ever happened. They don't want to hear it. They don't believe in divine retribution for sin. They think that sin doesn't need to be shouldered by them as the church. And they definitely do not think that there's any commission on us as the Christian church in America whatsoever, facing these devastating judgments, to go down collectively on our knees and begin to repent with loud voices, genuine contrition. People still get upset when they hear certain things in the prophecies. There is a resistant seed that is in the heart of some of the people that come here that I literally have no tolerance with. A person can come here having absolutely no prophecies, as in none, not even 3, not even 1. That person will then tell me in my face when God's prophecy has fulfilled. So God gave the prophecy not to them, but me. They have no declaration of a prophecy on their page. Instead, they come here and they watch mine. And then when I say that the Lord's word has been fulfilled in this way, they will tell me, no, actually it has not. For this and for that and for whit and for that. Actually, this has fulfilled that person. I already told people that I'm in a new season. It's a season where God has told me to preserve my peace and especially to guard my stamina, because he's let me know that stamina is required to finish the work. Celestial, he said, work, work, work,
work. But who can work in the midst of thistles and thorns? Who can work in the midst of hard-heartedness? Who can work in the midst of people who, the supposed best of them, the supposed best of us, the cream of the crop, creme de la creme, those who have risen to the top, the Christians, are so low down the totem pole that with no clue as to what would happen until they found this blog, they have now become the overseers of the blog to tell me what is what and when is when. I will simply put those people outside. As God has said to me, a window is still something that you can watch through. And you know what he means by that? I found it odd that he would put it that way, but he said a window is still available to watch through. A window is something that we all have in our homes. The window protects from rain. The window protects from dust. The window protects from the loud noise outside. And yet anybody who's outside can still look through the window. In order to preserve my peace and to make sure that I have the stamina and the peace of mind away from thorns to finish the work, I will simply shut the window. You will be able to look through the window and observe everything else that is going inside so that you will not be without knowledge, but you will not be inside the house, which is where the house owner sits with all the house owner's things. I will sit inside the blog, the people who want to be inside the blog, and the people who don't want to be inside the blog will be outside of the blog. Before I slept, I would just say basically September 27th evening, but it was already September 28th because I tend to sleep very late. The Lord was telling me about Isaiah 13. And what he said was, tell the American people and make it very plain to them that we have come to the era of their retribution. Now, we've all heard the word retribution before. It's usually the word that is mentioned through gritted teeth in lots of Western movies. When something has happened to a guy, maybe a gang of guys has come and assaulted his wife, killed a couple of his horses, stolen the best of his cattle, and he comes back and he finds his ranch in devastation. After his tears have dried, he becomes this killing machine, going after the men who caused him to suffer so much harm. And that arc where he is seeking vengeance for everything that was taken for him is usually referred to throughout the movie as his retribution, the revenge that he takes for the things that he suffers, the anger that he carries that fuels him night and day as he rides across endless amounts of landscapes, looking for each one of that 5-man gang, 3-man gang that came, took his wife away, killed his child, destroyed his marriage, and destroyed everything that he had sunken his effort into. That arc of putting things right in a man's own way is called retribution. Now imagine the God of heaven, the one who can command storms, the one who can command sandstorms, the one who can command floods, the one who can command sinkholes, the one who can command fire, burning down huge acreages in fires, the one who can command tsunamis, the one who can command earthquakes and volcanoes and strange diseases and all kinds of other things that you may or may not have heard on this blog. Imagine that person telling you clearly that you have come to the time of your retribution, and just try to put your mind on what exactly would be communicated to you. Tell the American people the time has come to pay them back retribution for their sins. Tell them what retribution means and define it for them. That is the whole message. And that's just what I've done. Tell them what retribution means. Retribution means payback. In order for payback to have meaning, without question, we have to accept that one has done something. This is the biggest problem that I face on this blog. Nobody is able to count because nobody has access to my dashboard to be able to see all the comments that get published and all the comments that don't. Bear in mind, I'm excluding the people who just come here to cause drama, who just come here to throw out slurs and throw out contrariness and everything. I'm excluding all of those people. I'm talking about even the people who have been here for a while. You will be shocked to find that a person can be here for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then a prophecy comes and it will poke them, and then it will, the inside of them will just lift like the lid of a crab, and you will see black gunk in that person. The amount of people who have been sitting here for at least a year or two, who get triggered by hearing that God is going to judge this country, and then reach for the two convenient boogeymen that the propaganda machine of America has raised them with. Americans have been raised to believe that everybody else in the world is more sinful than them. I don't know where this crack addicted lie started from, but if I had to pick anyone, I would actually say the special government bodies that were raised up in the early part of this country, usually, or sometime I would peg it, the secret government bodies that were raised up during the time of the Second World War. Because Americans in the first era up to the First World War seem to be markedly different from the second crop that has grown up under the specter of nonsense like Cold War, Chinese aggression, Russian aggression. There's something in the crop living now, especially in the older bunch, that really, truly is marrow deep in them, that makes them think that civilizations that outstrip them in existence by thousands of years. China is so old that I'm surprised that China is still able to chart and remember its history from back then until now. And embedded in the history of all nations that have lived a long time, the African nations that used to exist just as various tribes people in regions living next to each other, the Europeans who are thousands of years older than this country that is not even 500 years old. All they who lived before have their periods of savage wars, atrocities, which is what most countries use to establish dominance. Countries always establish dominance against those who are weaker and opposed to them. So the Europeans had terrible wars that they fought among themselves. The Africans had terrible wars. In the Asian region, they all fought for supremacy, and China having the largest land area, and also Japan having a small area of land, but very superior means of fighting, just like Great Britain. Some countries were able to establish themselves at the top, but all countries have a history of blood. Somehow it's lost in the minds of Americans that God is such a just God, and God has been watching the chessboard much longer than them and their dim lens. Somehow there is something inside the people in this country that constantly tells them that God cannot be trusted to come to a right conclusion about them. I don't know what Satan has done to most of us in this place. He hasn't done it to everybody, because everybody who truly, truly, truly knows that Jesus Christ is Lord and has done even the most minimal work to submit the pride of their hearts to allowing Jesus to speak to them, shape them, and mold them. Those people are not infected with this thing that I'm talking about. There is something embedded in the American psyche that truly, truly, it never speaks. I'm telling you facts here. The thing never speaks. It doesn't speak when it's inside them. The only time it speaks is when the truth comes and stabs them in the chest. That is the only way to get that demonic spirit in most people to say something. And what it will always say is, but we're not the first, but we're not the worst. They will say things that makes no sense in light of Revelation 18. Revelation 18, if you ever lose your Bible and you want to remember what Revelation 18 is about, Revelation 18 is the story of the first and the most wicked and the worst people in the world. The people of Mystery Babylon, the people of the United States of America. If you ever lose a Bible and you truly just want to get a synopsis of what the most horrendous judgment in the Bible is, it is Revelation 18, the lighting up, the barbecuing, the smoking, and the eventual erasure of what God himself says are the first, the worst, and the most horrendous to ever do it. Americans can never accept this indictment. And now, if you are in a foreign country, you will finally have the key to why you say things like, why don't these people listen to Celestial? We're in so-and-so country and we can hear what she's saying. In fact, as she lists all the things that are causing their problem, we can admit, can't we, that out of the 10 she listed for this video, just one video, we already have 6 we need to be careful before we end up like America. Now you can understand why the messages cannot enter the hearts of the people that I'm sent to speak to. And the reason is, if your heart is already full of the yeast, that you shouldn't be hearing this stuff because you're not the worst. China's ancient sins far outstrip ours. Who told you that? Are you able to do even the most basic math? If China is thousands of years old and has not caught God's attention for total annihilation, and you're not yet 500 years old, and God has told you that he will take your entire landmass and press it under the sea so that you can be the second country on record, historical record. The first is Atlantis. You will be the second continent or country in human history to be punished by being placed underneath the waters of earth, to never be seen again. This means that even when God drowned the entire world, he brought it back up again. He placed the whole earth under subjugation to the waves. And then when his anger was appeased, when he had exacted his retribution upon the sin of that period, he brought the whole of the earth back up again. To hear that you're the second in eternity thus far to go down, and then to still have a piece of you standing up like a rusty nail. This is what is in the hearts of most people here, the majority. And I'm speaking to the church that gathers here. I am not speaking of the rebels outside who don't even have the first GPS to know where Jesus is and how they can beep, 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 beep their way to him. I'm talking to you, the people that gather here, the amount of you that have rusty nails sticking out of you. I am truly concerned in why you think that you can be full of the most liquefied, silent rebellion that never speaks until the spirit in me moves me to say something, and then the rock goes directly into the eye of that rebellion that is still inside you. And then your rebellion speaks and it comes out in a comment. I really want to know why some of you are so hot for the rapture. Is the rapture for rebels? Is the rapture for people who don't know the depths that are inside them? They don't yet know that the reason nothing I say can benefit them, that the reason that, I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to leave the country, but it's not working. It's not working because you have never repented of the sin of the United States. You've never done it. There's always been a flaw in the way that you call out to God. And God knows the flaw is there. And he cannot hand you the absolution for sin well confessed because you've never accepted that the sin is greater than everyone else. You've never done it. If you do it, the patriot flag in your soul will catch fire and you are afraid of being burnt with accepting that you're the worst. That God has looked at the whole earth. God has looked at everything, all the atrocities of the Arabs. He's looked at all the atrocities of the Asians. He's looked at all the atrocities of the Canadians right to the north and the Latin Americans to the south. He's looked at the atrocities of the Europeans from whence you came. He's looked at everything that Africans are guilty of. And he's decided that it's you. You cannot tolerate hearing that it is you, and therefore you still, up to now, I am informing you, if you care one iota about your soul and where your soul is going, this is why you cannot enter the presence of the Lord. This is why your presence, your private time with God is so shallow. This is why you cannot plumb the depths, because you are a rebel to this day. And how egregious it is, especially if you're older. It means you've had more time in the school books. You've had more time to sit in front of books. You should have a much more well-developed understanding than a 15-year-old who comes crawling here sobbing their little Gen Alpha self or their Gen Z self. Truly tearing off. There's something about the American garb that her old guard especially are loath to tear off. Just imagine, you hear from God that one day you will be disenfranchised and have no nation, and yet you cannot control the racism in you. It comes out in the multiple ways you speak of other cultures. We speak here of situations where getting your passport is not the end to your journey out of this country. It's the merest beginning. And yet it was like pulling teeth to even get people to accept that they're going to need a passport. What do I need a passport for? So many people arguing there's no need to have a passport. This is their mindset. There's going to be trouble in the whole earth. You really think the trouble in the whole earth is going to match the trouble that is going to be here? Have you listened to anything at all? Strongly discouraging people, working like seeds of weeds. As I'm planting, they're coming after and trying to attempt. I only say attempt, because if I catch you doing it, when I've said something here that God has given me and I've woken up from sleep or sacrificed the time to put it on the tablet, if I catch you unplanting what I plant, it will be a different story for a different day. Going among the people like Korah and Dathan, going among the people like Miriam with her leper self and Aaron. But is it really necessary? Like I said, not even a cat video of prophecy on their page. But coming to the place where the Lord's work is going forward. To roll it back, to undo it, to say it's unnecessary and it's perhaps too much, simply because they're not able to peel that red, white, and blue off them. God is telling us in this country that no one will be allowed to stay here in the end. There will be always waves of migration out. Those who leave now will leave with everything, and there will be some who will be fleeing for the skin of their teeth. And yet these people, because of this embedded seed of rebellion in there, that it can't really be us. These charges are exaggerated. But the Arabs also did slavery. Do you see the Arabs being told that they're going to have a years-long civil war and eat each other, and God is going to watch Americans commit cannibalism here? And you know what he said? In the prophecy from 2023, he said that he won't take away the mind of the person who's forced to do the cannibalism. He said he won't give that person the comfort of forgetting. He said he's going to make sure that people are in their right mind as they eat their family member or as they eat the body left by the side of the road. And that means that you will be putting human flesh in your mouth, you who are so unlucky to be seized by this as part of the judgment. And it's definitely the judgment for the rebels, blog viewers included. As you put what is forbidden in your mouth, God says he will leave you in your right mind, that you can know that heaven can witness what the worst of all living rebels. This includes the Romans, this includes the Goths, the Visigoths, this includes the Vikings, who are known for terrible atrocities against mankind. This includes Alexander the Great, who was also known for some terrible punishments. His fighting forces were feared. Attila the Hun, another person with atrocities. God is saying that you seem to not understand that he's been the umpire watching all the worst of humanity. And he's therefore the perfect person to point to us in America and say, I've weighed it up, I've totaled it up, I've added up everything that every civilization did, and by a country mile, you win. There's something in the people in this country who can't accept it. And the scariest part is that the people who can't accept it literally have no clue of the patience of the intelligence that has judged them. I think we're so used to game shows, singing shows, all types of shows, reality shows in America, that people have become used to the judging process. In fact, as people sit at their homes, listen to the irony and the joke. People sit at their homes and they have limited ability to affect what the outcome is going to be of these game shows, limited ability to affect what's going to happen in, for instance, American Idol and things like that. There's a public vote, but it's only weighted so much. It's the vote of the judges that carries the day. And yet the public always gets so invested. No, he's the best one. He's the best one. No, I think he's the best one. He's who they should choose. She's the best one. And then the judges go ahead and they choose according to how the judges choose. And then you're angry at your house. Even though it was never said in the beginning, the introduction, during the program, or at the end, or even in the legal disclaimer that you can find on the American Idol website. It was never, ever mentioned once. Hi, viewer. We at American Idol are very vested in what you think. We're going to make sure to include all your feelings, your thoughts, your views, and your former firm beliefs in how we decide who becomes the next American Idol. Nobody ever said that, and yet the viewing public truly believes that they are carrying an equal, a weighted, an adjusted curve, or even a superseding value of input to the judges. Happens all over the country. Happens in every area. Everybody's like, no, they cheated him. She should have had it. He should have had it. And so why wouldn't people in this country bring that same response to Jesus Christ? Because to an American, who is Jesus Christ? Who is he really? He's just a guy. Who is he really, really, really? What type of people say that Jesus Christ is Lord? And yet when you examine the inner caverns of who they are, you cannot even find the beginning of the understanding of the concept of what lordship is. Because lordship automatically says, you don't even need a dictionary for this one. Lordship says that there is a Lord. And if there is a Lord, no one needs to be told that for a man to be Lord, he has to be lording over somebody. But the humility isn't there. The lack of pridefulness, rampant pridefulness, is not there. The submission factor is not there. The teachability aspect is not there. And yet, with these important components missing, the average person will say, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. Jesus Christ is Lord. And then we'll begin to walk in all forms of perverted, vomitous activity and behavior and character that they will say this too is Christianity. If you cannot submit to the mere speaking of God's mind, then what are you going to do when he moves from speaking to performance? He's already performing upon us what he told us was going to come on us. He's already performing on us the slow slide to the bottom. He's already performing on us that he said the bank will take your home. Just go to Google and then go to YouTube and then Google Americans can't buy a home. God bless the people who have gone to TikTok and created videos of about 30, 20, 25, sometimes 40 little clips of people crying, of people sad, of people in the midst of realization that they're never going to own homes. Gen Z being the worst. They're too young to even be at the arc of home ownership, and yet they already know, with the fact that they're eating bagels and boiled eggs 5 days a week and then maybe having meat for the last 2, they already know that home ownership is a pipe dream. He's already performing the lagging economy on us. He's already performing economic hardship on us. He's already performing loss of civil rights on us. He's already performing attacking of constitutional liberties on us. Yet the people remain adamant that he's not a good judge because the historical evils of China. What is going on with you? And that's just a rhetorical question because I can see clear as day what is going on with you. You are a rebel facing the specter of being rejected by God for your hard heart and unbelief. And yet, here's the scary part, you are utterly oblivious that you are not on the side. You would assume if anyone gave you $1 million and say, are you with the sheep, with the goats? You would laugh. Some of you that I'm speaking to, you would laugh and say, oh my goodness, God heard my prayers. This is such easy money with the sheep. And then they would pull off the silver platter and there would be a piece of paper. You open the paper and it says, The Lord says the goats. The Lord says this one is an absolute rebel, the goats. You cannot tolerate the speaking of the message, which God called running with the footmen. The speaking of the judgment, you cannot tolerate it without trying to tweak it, shave a little bit off and say, we're not as bad as the Middle East. What about the things that Saddam did? What about Saddam? What did Saddam do that is worse than what George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr. have done? He's a dictator. Who have you had? Why do you imagine yourselves free when you are so chained that all other people do is observe how you have 10,000 lords and masters? The HOA guy is your master, or HOA lady. The medical insurer is your boss. You have a real boss. The landlords are your boss. The Jewish mafia that runs this nation is your boss. Benjamin Netanyahu is your boss. Where's the freedom of which you are so proud? It is imagined. And this is why we need to give, as I was saying, the propaganda machine that started just after World War II, their props, they have produced an ocean of people brainwashed into believing themselves first, when the Bible says that they are last. How dangerous is it to believe yourself first when God, who assigns all position on earth, says that you are last? What hope is there for you? Are you not deceived? In the midst of deceit, Jeremiah said of God's people once long ago, in the midst of deceit, Jeremiah says, my people dwell, meaning that the people are living in a morass of confusion and delusion that is so deep that you can't even find a candle or a flashlight to start shining it on them, to tell them, please, it's so dark in your soul. You are so confused. You really need to come away from the edge where you find yourself. The Lord just tasked me with a few short words to tell America that the era of retribution, full retribution for sins, whether you accept that they are heinous or not, whether you accept that America is the worst or not, that era has come. The next thing that he said to me before I slept was to tell me it shall be a wave indeed. He said that the tsunami that's going to come to California, the tsunami wave that I said, the thing rose up to the point that the shadow of it was on the land. He said that it will be a wave indeed. It shall be a wave indeed. As the architect of the wave, why would I argue with him? I've never designed even a waterfall. So why would I have anything in me to disagree with or to question the one that caused so much devastation in the Boxing Day tsunami in Thailand? Why would I say anything to him? He was just telling me it will be a wave indeed. And he was saying that the earthquake will be of a magnitude 12, unseen in human history, and that it will cause a most provocative devastation in the United States. Provocative devastation literally means, have you ever been walking and you see someone approaching with a sizable dog, but the dog is on a leash? And so you just assume that this dog has been socialized, the dog knows about other people, and that the dog is not going to do what it does next, which is lunge so close towards you, pulling on its leash and standing up in front of you that for a second, you realize that you don't have any facelift money and that you're about to be destroyed by the drooling, gripping snout of a dog. God is saying that the California disaster is going to go to the heart of Americans and lodge there, because that's what provocative means. It literally means to provoke. God will provoke everything depending on what's already simmering inside people. He will provoke everything from outbreaks of suicide. Some people are going to respond to this devastation that may take away a loved one, that may take away a family member, that may take away their entire livelihood and business. They've flown out of the country for business. They've flown to another part of the country for business. And so God has shown them some mercy. It's still going to have an ending where it will be as if they died in the earthquake when they look on TV and see that the entire region of where they lived has gone into the sea. Apoplectic shock, meltdowns, mental illness, whatever is simmering inside people already. Please understand, this means that whatever edge you are already at, which is why for me, I will absolutely keep this blog sanitized, because the blog is not inside a storage unit. It's not surrounded by metal gates and walls. The blog is right here in public. It's open to everybody else. It will just have nice bulletproof windows that you can stay on the outside of and you can watch, but you will not come in to be a disruptive presence. Because the last thing that I need, as someone who has not finished the library of messages that she has, the last thing that I need is to see something like that and be toppled into an unfamiliar emotion that I was not watching out for, because people were constantly provoking me before a provocative event came to the United States. A provocative event is coming. The problem is that that provocative event will have uncountable different results in uncountable different souls in the United States. And I don't intend to be one of them. It is my desperate wish for many of you, my prayer actually, that you won't be one of them either. But I cannot control that. All I can do is continue to prepare the people who are not wearing the American flag. The people who are wearing the American flag cannot be reached by me. They cannot be reached by me. And that is something that I figured out at least 2.5 years ago. I figured it out in 2023 when God spoke to me, and you can find out exactly when I let go of trying to reach a thorn. That is in the prophecy, Too Big to Fail. That is right in the middle of 2023. People who are wearing the American flag will never understand me, and they cannot be reached by me because they belong to Mother Babylon. I didn't come to preach to Mother Babylon's children. It's impossible to reach her children because they actually don't know that her flag that they're wearing is made of poisoned fabric. For as long as it rests on them and touches their skin, they will constantly have her belladonna in their soul. Every time they put her garment on, whether they're on the red side, the blue side, the Bernie Sanders side, whatever side, as long as they're wearing her clothing, they're covered over with an infection that includes resistance and deafness. Those children are not for me. I actually came for the people who are living their lives on all fours, eating grass. Because he said, my sheep hear my voice. He didn't say Babylon's children in her coat of many colors hear my voice. So a provocative event means that it's one event, but it will splinter like these bullets that I learned about when people were helpfully putting in the comments to tell me what I was seeing. The bullet that goes in and then goes to cause maximum damage and then comes out with half your chest on the bids. Hollow point, bullet, yes. That provocative event will enter America in one direction, but I promise you that by the time it bursts out of her on the other side, it will be dragging millions of American souls with it, their entrails, their expectations, their wife, their husband, their business partner, their former roommate, the love of their life who decided not to leave California. That bullet of the provocative event is going to go in, but it's coming out with so much human material stuck to it that it would be the most unwise person who will keep listening to these prophecies and keep with their garden gloves and garden shears looking for a point to do a work that Jesus never asked them, which is snip, 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 trim, 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 prune, 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 into a shape that makes sense to them. I literally don't understand such people, and I don't have time for how that type of mind works because my mind doesn't work like that. And so you have heard of Mr. Hegseth. You have heard of the earthquake tremors. You have heard of the California wave description. You have heard of the Isaiah 13 retribution of the Lord. And now let's look at, the Lord is just amazing. It is amazing the way his description will just go from one thing to another. This is what Yah gave me just before I left for church on the 28th of September, Sunday morning. I just sat down and I jotted it down that he was talking about. And I think to the end of this prophecy, I may include a few clips. The difficulty is that including clips sometimes is what brings the ads. I think I figured it out. In addition to YouTube, obviously, even sometimes I don't include clips, just the topic. If it's a topic about the imposters in Israel, or if it's a topic about, for instance, US weaponry and technology, they always ruin those videos by putting ads in them. But I think sometimes I may have used a clip that carries music that has royalties, and I think royalties attracts ads automatically. I'm not sure. It's just a theory. For this last part, we will call the domination of China. Imagine, you go to bed and God is talking about earthquakes and retribution. You wake up, you're figuring out an earthquake, why you've been seeing the Department of War and its head. And then just before heading out to church, we're in China. Listen to this. The war of domination that will be fought in the future will be fought and won and dominated by China. They have modern technology that America and Western allies know nothing about. They have the exoskeleton that you saw in your dreams about the UN soldiers, except that theirs is faster and lighter and stronger than the American one. America has a version, but the Chinese version is much better. It can stand tall, but it can also bend low into an all-fours position and make a man run like that without putting any effort for himself. They can also fight with lasers, handheld lasers for combat, handheld lasers that can cut flesh and simultaneously seal the wound so that not much blood comes out of it. And I added here just for an understanding, I guess this is an instant cauterizing effect. Cauterizing means when you use an extremely hot element, such as a rod of iron or perhaps superheated glass or something, to seal a wound by using burning flesh. You actually burn the flesh shut as a way of sterilizing a wound and also sealing it shut immediately so that you can guard against infection and also prevent loss of blood. China's capability are beyond a distraction in the field. They bear out any research you might hope to do on their technology and advancements thus far. They have also surpassed the American paywall in that the expense to produce technology has been so lowered by their particular method of information sharing that mass production is possible. And this means that the tech can be dropped to the lower classes without much burden as to cost and availability to the end user. Their population is growing and advancing in familiarity with technology, whereby America is highly stagnating. Her people don't know anything about the latest tech due to the fact that her government is highly secretive and always hiding everything they have from them rather than mobilizing it to make their lives better. So see the Lord now talking about in the future. And I do have a prophecy that talks about explosive military times. I know that that's a ton of messages that I brought, but there's one particular prophecy with a black ops picture, like two soldiers fully in black with the rifles pointed. I can't think of what it is now, but I will try to figure it out. It's totally gone from my mind. So I've spoken about the time, I think it was a live call, where we will come to times of war, okay? And it was carried in the Super Soldiers prophecy as well, where I said we will come to times of war, and the battles of the future are going to be fought by weapons that Yah called man's inhumanity to man. So basically, we are going to see in the future wars that are coming, countries bursting out onto the scene with weapons, and the outcome will be to dominate the war space. Those who are still old enough to remember will automatically know that this is what carried the day for Adolf Hitler. Hitler had technology, Hitler had war strategies, Hitler had the Enigma code, Hitler had what we just might call a toolbox of things that nobody knew he had. The way that Hitler fought war against the Allies was completely different. First of all, he didn't fight with any kind of gentlemanly style and anything like that. He fought to win. He fought in what was eventually labeled blitzkrieg. When the Germans went out, they went out to make a point. When they went out like hornets. They went out like bees. They didn't go, oh, first squadron, second squadron, third squadron will stay on base and then we'll check in with. No, Germans filled the skies like bees. The Luftwaffe would fly and drop every conceivable bomb that they had until the people in London were just calling on Jesus and whoever else they believed in at the time. He sent the Allies scuttling to the basements. He bombed them in the waters. He bombed them on land. He gave no quarter. He fought the war, I guess, as wars are supposed to be fought. If you go to war and you're fighting to win, which is how America does it, you're not here to give quarter to your enemy or give room or give them breathing room or anything like that, which is why that crucial time that he allowed them when he was in the process of destroying the British fleet, other people can say, historically, it is not understood why he did that. It was God who did that, and thus God knows that there would be no Western domination today. This would be a German-run world, a German-oriented universe. All of us would be saying Guten Tag, and that would be the end of it. Hitler was by far the superior force on the battlefield. No matter how many lying movies America makes, history books carry the truth of how that man fought a war. And now God is telling us that the wars of the future are going to be like that, but we will see a new Hitler, and his name is Mr. Xi Jinping, or Comrade Xi Jinping. A war similar to the wars of the past is going to arise. And as the dust is flying, just like in the cartoon, and you see a fist come out here and a foot kick out there, and the nations are in there doing massive fisticuffs, you are going to see the flag of the Red Dragon flying superior at the top. And the reason that God is saying is because what China has in the military bunker, is far beyond what anyone can conceive of. And we got a little look at it in the Labor Day military parade that they have. I think I have a clip that I might include of, I'm not sure who he is. He might be the Chinese premier. He might be the foreign minister. But it's the man who never hesitates to give America a timely clapback. Anytime America says something directly to China, that's the man that answers. Anytime a Western reporter says something that is a snub to China, that's the man who answers. And I saw this man practically gloating about the fact that China has developed something that they call the 60 and 1. I thought it was 60 in 1, but no, it is the 60 and 1. And what the 60 and 1 is, it's that very fat missile that they were pulling on a wagon, the one that had its own wagon, its own truck bed to pull it. Extremely round and huge missile. And the reporter was nearly apoplectic with excitement, saying that this weapon was just an urban legend, even in China, that it had been whispered about so much, and that people had heard leakages here and there, the same way that people are leaking designs about the next Samsung and the next iPhone, even though it's just going to be a rehash of the same old boring stuff. This reporter was so excited, saying that most people did not think that such a weapon existed. But then I happened to come across this man who always has the available clapback, smugly saying that, oh, China has the 60 and 1. And the reason it's called the 60 and 1 is apparently because it contains 60 tactical missiles and 1 nuclear warhead. Therefore, the name there's 61. And as he was talking, he made it known that this missile can be sent in one direction, but then it will open up like a petaled flower, and the warhead will go to one place. He said the warhead is capable of reaching anywhere, and the missiles too can be given separate plot points, so that I guess whoever China feels is an enemy and all their friends can get some at the same time. One missile. And this is the thing that I was saying all the way back in 2019 or 2020 when I was doing the China prophecies, saying that Yah showed me that not only are they tactically superior, but they are extremely hardworking, that they have an ant formation mindset. Here, America has a highly individualistic mindset. Even in the military, even in the government, there is no cohesive plan for how to execute American military policy. Everybody jockeys for a position, and that is because the one shining candle in the midst of the American heart is to win. It's to win. We don't care how we win. We don't care if it's a clean method, dirty method, cheating method, who we lie, who we kill, who we whatever. It's to win. China has a different mindset that I have always brought out in the Chinese prophecies and the Russian prophecies, and it is basically for China itself. They are taught to diminish individualism and to uphold China, and by extension, China's well-being. China's well-being is why the Chinese people wake up and go to work. It's why they're in the factories. It's why they work on endless shifts so that that economy never closes. The American economy closes. Nobody's working here 24 hours a day except maybe, it's not the car manufacturers, clothes manufacturers, nothing. It's probably security guards. They work on shift. Some work at night, some work in the daytime. Call centers, some work at night, some work in the daytime. That's about it. China's actually working and producing day and night. They don't sleep. They have the benefit of a massive population, which means that they can afford lower wages. And that is why all the American companies have sprinted over there a long time, because every company, its lifeblood is profit. Its lifeblood is profit. If you can give me workers for a quarter or half of what the American worker wants, of course I will come and build factories in your country. Of course I will relocate. You're lowering my operation costs. You're eliminating so many of my salary concerns. You're lowering so much of my overheads. Of course I will come there, because with those things lower, I have so much more slush fund to give to the CEOs and the billionaires and the shareholders. That's how it works. And so China is militarily advanced. I said that I saw that they were able to make electricity out of seawater. And that was years back. I don't know if they've actually managed to do that, if they've actually found a way to get light, electricity, out of the water of the sea. But I said that I saw them working with beakers, and that when they accomplished it, everybody was so excited that they called other people from other labs, and the other lab workers came, and then they all did that happy Chinese, we have done well because China is now doing well through us. That's the mindset that they have. They teach it to their little ones. They don't teach their little one, you go to school and everybody talks to you, you punch them in the eye, Billy. No, that's a highly cooperative society. I have seen some scary videos, and when I say scary, I just mean mind-blowing, of Chinese babies. They are babies. I think they are 4, making breakfast. Some people go out to the Chinese baby garden where the Chinese babies have grown stuff, and they harvest and they bring it in, and other other babies clean their class space, and some babies make lunch, and some babies serve lunch, and some babies set the table, and the teachers are just there going so. That's it. And then the teachers put them down for siesta, and they teach them. It's a cooperative society. It's not a competitive society, because they are taught from young that China's well-being is actually your well-being. And so you hear Yah saying that the reason they've managed to leapfrog, this is something that's very sensitive in Americans. I know there will be so many red and angry faces watching me, but right now there's no two-way communication with these videos. And so I can't see you. And if you're upset, you just need to get over it and start thinking about where you're going to be spending the rest of your life when you leave here. So their capabilities, God says, are beyond just a mere distraction in the field. And I found this so puzzling that I literally had to think on it until the answer came to me. When God is telling you that somebody's capabilities are more than just a distraction, I want you to think of what the US government always puts out about China. They always put about China that China is a puff of wind. That's what he means by they're beyond just a distraction. People are always like, and the Chinese, they'll come together. That's the government's stance towards China. The government of the United States regularly tries to psych us, the people of America, out about China. They try to run a psychological game on our minds that because they smirk when China is mentioned, we should smirk when China is mentioned. We are told to have no interest in China because for some reason, when it comes to American leadership and even American scholarship in this country, the professors and teachers, the majority of them constantly say that China is becoming, like Michelle Obama. Becoming is the process of they're getting there, they're getting there, they're getting there. China's there. China is not only there, but China has surpassed, which is God's way of telling us that America actually cannot alter reality. All America can do is alter the brains of us who sit here by telling us and misleading us that China is merely a distraction and that America is still the main event. This is one of the biggest lies upon the surface of the earth. The prophecy that is coming to my mind now, that when I find these clips for you, you will have to admit that this prophecy is well fulfilled, is called the fairest of them all. I think this is a 2021 or maybe a 2022 message where God says that China is going to be the global leader in trends, in fashion, in government, in military, in everything. That people are going to have this explosive awakening of interest in China. That eyes are going to shift to China. That people are going to be interested in everything from Chinese food, Chinese culture, Chinese customs, Chinese travel, the bullet trains that they have. I think these people have a floating train. I think these people have the train from my dream, the train that doesn't run on the rails. Who ever heard of such a thing? But I think I saw in some of the clips on TikTok that the train doesn't run on the rails. I don't know what it's doing. Maybe it's leveraging. Maybe there's air between the train and the track. Or maybe it's opposite magnets, because, you know, if two magnets are powerful enough, they tend to push each other away. So maybe the train has one pole underneath and the track has another pole underneath. And then the train is constantly pushed away and then it gets to look like it's floating. But anyway, China does have a floating train. China has the Three Gorges Dam that is greatly lowering and helping with their power consumption. China has underwater power stations. China does actually use the seawater. I did see that. They use the seawater and they have underwater. I think they just started the first underwater power station using seawater to make lights for the above ground community. And so much of what God said, I remember when I made that prophecy, the fairest of them all. I'm not even speaking about the video. I'm talking about when I first put it in writing, the amount of Americans who were abusing me there. I had to ban them from the blog. I had to block their ability to actually say the things that they were saying to me. They were accusing me of being a Chinese agent because visually, I'm the first thing you think of when you think of a Chinese agent. They were accusing me of being a Chinese agent. They were accusing me of being one who hates America because, of course, stating facts is always translated to some minds as, well, I guess you hate. So if you say, I love apples, there will always be the contingent that will then gaslight you by saying, so I guess you just hate watermelons and oranges then. Because of course, I love apples sounds like I hate watermelons and oranges. There was so much uproar. There was so much anger. There was so much fury that it was very difficult for that prophecy to be digested by people merely merely seeing the written version. I made the video, same overwhelming reaction. Here we are now. It's 4 to 5 years later, sitting in the reality of what God said. And now what are you going to say? Are you going to gaslight God and tell God that God hates America? Well, yeah. But are you going to gaslight him and accuse him of being a Chinese agent? When he literally was showing me in pictures the precision of Chinese aviation, and the children were 19. They were 19 to 22 years old. And I saw them fly over, drop a fake payload, and the instructor was in the ear, and God was translating. As the instructor was saying, you didn't destroy the target completely. You've left a piece of it. That has not been bombed because you didn't drop with precise accuracy. That means you've left a piece of it, and that means the enemy can escape, circle around, and drop it again. 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21, 22. And I said that I saw, after these children had overperformed in the war against America, that when they went back to China, meaning after America had been grabbed, wrestled, restrained on the ground, right? After all the cats beat her off of the top of the trash can that she's sitting on, her little trash can empire that her people are still fighting for with their rebellious hearts, then the Chinese kids went back to China and they were received as heroes. They were given lots of sums of money. They were given large financial gifts for being so amazing. At least that's what I saw. They were honoring the Air Force children, because the Air Force children will be a very big part of how America goes down. And they're training those children right now. They're making them fly over probably a tiny X on the ground from knows how many hundreds of feet, and they're making them drop metaphorical payloads again and again, so that in windy conditions, if the day of invasion turns out to be a windy condition, it won't bother Wei Lu and friends. Wei Lu and friends, name spelled Weilui, is the name that I saw. They will be able to drop in windy conditions, foggy conditions. They'll be able to drop it at night. They'll be able to drop it in high winds. They'll be able to drop it in fog. They'll be able to drop it in thunderstorms. They will be able to hit the X, because these are babies that were digging up spring onions at age 4, working with actual stoves. They let those children make omelets on actual stoves. The average 4-year-old across the world would burn the house down if given access to a small stove of his size and told, make omelets and pancakes for mom and dad and serve it. That's where these children have come from. Precision, and also visualizing a goal that at heart is not self-centered. Human beings actually shine when they are working towards altruistic goals. There's a lot of criticism to the way people do things in Asia. People in Asia tend to center the well-being of their nations and their governments. That's why they don't like Westerners coming there, because Westerners will just throw trash. Because to the Western mind, I've actually heard people say, well, if I don't throw the litter on the floor, then how will the street cleaner guys work, right? And they fully mean it. I'm creating trash. I'm creating labor because I'm helping the workforce. Over there, they detest to see their environment treated poorly, because concepts of when the environment is healthy and clean, we all benefit are strongly a part of their education. So they did not have the kind of post-war socialization that we have had over here, which is, patriotism is intense loyalty to your party, which is why America is being shredded right now. Bipartisanship is destroying this country, because the country is fighting itself and acting as if the red doesn't rule over the blue, or if the blue doesn't have supremacy over the red, then the world is going to end. China, I guess, is just a one-party state. And that means that everybody is looking up to that party, and that party is making promises back and saying, we all go forward. Ya is actually giving insight into something that I hadn't actualized in my mind, which is that the Chinese government is very generous with its advancement. One of the things I saw on TikTok is that China is constantly looking for ways to expand the efficacy of their grid. They are very much into making sure that there is some kind of expanding, heating, lighting umbrella, even on the most remote mountain hill, that the Sherpa with his 3 sheep facing a horrible storm will be able to take his sheep and sit under that expanding automated umbrella that opens and has light and also heat coming out of it to make the winters better. They are constantly looking for ways to expand the grid and to meet electricity needs so that their entire agrarian and urban landscape, that massive territorial landmass that they occupy, can be lit up. Yah says that, just a moment, please. China has surpassed the American paywall in that the expense to produce technology has been so lowered by their particular method of information sharing that mass production has now become easily accessible, and this means it's easy to drop tech to the lowest classes. So China is not the kind of person, not the kind of nation that will, for instance, create a section of phones whereby the phone that is the cheapest, let's say you have a normal phone and then a Pro and then a Pro Max. China's not the kind of nation to gatekeep the tech and only put it in the Pro Max so that only the businessmen who have 1600, 1800 to drop on a Pro Max will get access to the full features. China's going to drop the full specs of techs into the lowest phone. They're going to make sure that the lowest phone has everything that an American Pro Max only has. They're going to drop that thing in the lowest phone so that a person who's a student or a child, when mommy buys you your first phone, a child or a university student who doesn't have very deep pockets will be able to get a stunning, amazing machine that meets their pocket. Then when you go to the middle one, that's when you get a few more features. And then when you go to the top one, a few more features. But they're going to make the entire range of their phones so amazing that anytime Americans access the entry-level phones from there, they're constantly raving about those phones. And you can find it under places like CNET and something like that. You can find them raving online and making videos about their entry-level Xiaomi, their entry-level Huawei, and constantly saying this phone beats every iPhone that I've had. But the conditioning here is so strong that even if Apple doesn't innovate for 3 to 4 years, Apple is guaranteed American money because they have succeeded in monopolizing the phone industry to make sure that you barely have anything else to buy if you don't want an iPhone because the market is so thin. Because America is very afraid of competition, actually. A lot of people think that the stuff that we have here is the best. It's simply because you haven't seen anything else. You haven't seen anything else. Some days before I got this prophecy, I was scrolling and I just saw a tag. A tag is when someone on TikTok will call me to something. So about 3-4 days ago, somebody tagged me, Master's Voice Prophecy Blog, and I clicked it. And there's a redheaded guy who lives in China. I think his name is Grossi, Grossi. And for some reason, this guy was blown away by something that Yah has mentioned in this prophecy. Robotic legs. Except that this is just legs and God is talking about the whole exoskeleton, which I will speak of just now. This young man was very amazed because apparently he went to a holiday spot and a kind of exoskeleton was available, meaning it's just something that you would put around your waist and then you put a harness on to make sure it doesn't fall off you. But then you strap it to your legs and apparently these legs run for you. Such an odd thing. I'm not sure why people would want legs to run for them, but maybe it's a good way for people actually who can't walk to experience the sensation of walking. This guy and his friend put the legs on and they were amazed to find that the legs were actually walking for them. And then the guy who owns the store says, these legs can actually run for you. It's not just walking that they offer. They actually offer the full sensation of running and you won't have to do anything. They won't throw you down. You just have to make yourself limp and the legs will carry you. And so he tells the guy, okay, pump it up to the full strength. And he pumps it up and the thing starts running. And he is amazed, laughing, giddy. He's taping himself and saying, this is amazing. I'm actually not doing anything. It's running for me. But here's the kicker. He says to the guy, I'm just asking, but how much would this kind of tech go for? And the man says, $1,950. He says, yeah, $900.15. $915, $915. And the guy was blown away, and I was blown away, because who in America would accept that you can own your own pair of Panther running legs for less than an iPhone Pro? iPhone Pro is about $1,100, $1,200. Pro Max is about $1,600 actual American dollars. He couldn't believe it. The guy told him, oh yeah, it's about $915. And he said, oh yeah, another tourist, she actually bought the legs that she used. So a lady just bought Spider-Man legs, packed it into her luggage, and flew back to her own country. Might be this country. And she'll be out there on the trail, getting conditioned, getting fit, getting the benefits of running without actually the leg pain of running, because she has robotic legs, actual exoskeleton that she bought from China for under $1,000. And this is what God is saying. God says this is why you can't ignore an economy like this, because this economy is prioritizing, getting and maximizing. This is an unforeseen social benefit. Hundreds of years ago, people were marking social goods as, we should keep the rivers and the lakes clean because that's where we fish. We should keep the sea free of plastics and oil spills because that's where we fish. We should beautify with parks because trees are actually good for the environment. We breathe the air. It's good for us to have green spaces in the midst of where we live. We should actually rezone in such a way that we keep rubbish out and equity in. That's what people know as social goods. The fourth industrial revolution, branching out into AI, computers, and tech, has changed all that. Now life can be made, I will admit, a lot better through technology. The medical field is one field that has benefited from advancements in technology. But imagine Yah being the one to tell the American people that basically the reason that you're old, slow, and clunky is because your government gatekeeps everything. Every advancement that they have, every betterment that they have. And he confirmed this in that prophecy called the I Will Proceed, where I was talking about the underground economy of the in the city. And God was talking about certain technologies from this place called Tartaria, and said that they never make these ancient things available to the general populace because they haven't figured out yet how to explain where they got it from. People will say, what? You guys have had this? Where did you get it from? They haven't figured out how to explain where they got it from. And he said, more importantly, they haven't figured out a way to monetize it yet. So they absolutely refuse to share. They absolutely refuse to make society better. They refuse to make health better. They refuse to make the food better, the school systems better, the transportation systems, which in America are a living nightmare. They refuse to better these things because they haven't found a way to realize a massively overexpanded, huge, volumized profit from it before simply sharing. And here God is saying that they have beat the American paywall. A paywall is basically what I expressed when I was describing the three different phones, why Apple will only put the good tech in their big phone. And then if you buy the entry level 15 or 16 or 17, you're basically just getting a handset. You're getting a handset that can ring and do a little bit of AI and whatever, but they will always keep whatever they think as premium and only keep it for who they call elite customers, being prevented from accessing a benefit because you don't have the material means, you don't have the earning bracket, you don't yet have cash in that class, is what we call a paywall. It's basically a financial gate that keeps you out and the special people in. And God says that China has gone right ahead and steamrolled the American paywall by showing what a country does when it drops the cost of production so much that it doesn't have only one chip maker, it doesn't have only one phone maker, it doesn't have only one weapons maker, it doesn't have only one textile maker, it has so many spread across that China has actually opted to divide itself into cities, specializing the same way we have Silicon Valley here where all the tech bros are. China basically has cities devoted, regions devoted to doing this or doing that, whether it's animal husbandry, you guys handle the pork, you guys handle the beef, you guys handle the chicken, all in that area. You guys are doing textiles. Okay, you guys are doing the raw textiles. That means you're just working with premium leather. Make our leather premium, make our cotton premium, make our wool premium. And then there is the manufacturing city and the production city of the raw materials, of the leather, of the wool, of the cotton. They will work closely together. In the manufacturing city is where all your Birkins come from. It's where all your Birkins come from, finished to 99%, and then go to their home locations, and then labels are put in them, and then all of a sudden, from cost of being made in Guangzhou or wherever it was made. But because you have the propaganda sold to you that Italy is superior to Shenzhen, then you will not want a Chinese thing, even though all the labor is there, all the stitching is there, all the exquisite work is there, being done by hand. You want something by hand, but you want it to be by Italian hands, but the Italians don't have time for that. The French don't have time to stitch things for you by hand. They're just busy importing. A young man on the streets of New York caught a very upmarket brand, I think it's called Maison something, getting clothes from somebody like Primark. The van came and was offloading the clothing and taking it into the back of something super fancy in the midst of New York City. And the kid was laughing, and he was like exposing them one store at a time. You are being scammed. We keep telling you, stop buying luxury, because they're all downsizing and they're buying from cheaper manufacturers who have good cotton and simply want to get their cotton out there. And then once you buy my cotton, if you put a small Lacoste, you put that little alligator in the corner, and then all of a sudden it goes from being a $30 good quality cotton polo to being worth something that's $500, $600. Well, what can the guy say? He's moving his shirts at a cost that's fine for him because maybe he made it for $5. And so to take it from 5 to 30 is fine. If you want to take it from 30 to 600 and you've actually got people who believe you, then that's okay. God is saying that the American paywall keeps the mass of the potential clientele out of realizing really good benefits, because the way that the government and the leadership does something here is if they can't maximize a profit from it, or if they can't cater to their favorite market, the super rich market, because that market doesn't want to see themselves with the same bags, the same shoes, the same phones, the same anything as who they consider the povo, then they're happy to have that paywall division to keep the majority out. China doesn't care about that. China knows that maximizing success across the board, maximizing success with the farmers, success with the animal husbandry people, success with those who do the picking, success with those who spin the fabrics, success with those who sew the fabrics, success with the rich grandmothers who wear the fabrics. They know that success across all the tiers means that China is successful, and they have leveraged that model to climb right up America's back. And then people will come here and hate me like I told them to do it. And so let's talk about the exoskeleton. The exoskeleton is something that the US government does have. And I think the movie where they showed it is something called Pacific Rim. Now, I didn't watch Pacific Rim because I didn't understand why people were inside the guts of what looked like Transformers. Wasn't my kind of thing. And besides, I already explained years ago that the last type of movie like that I saw was Transformers Part 2, because when I was watching Transformers Part 2, I actually heard Satan's voice in the movie. Not actual Satan. I heard the tones of Satan. I heard how Satan speaks. How Satan always says that the fallen ones are better than mankind. And Satan always goes on a rant in most of these movies, you will call it a monologue. But once it's coming from the bad thing or the other bad thing, there are two bad things in every one of these action movies. The bad thing will be the Decepticons, and the less bad thing will be the Optimus Prime people. They're all demonic. They're all Nephilim. But the way that America normalizes us to love some evil and hate some evil, which is why some people in this country actually think, oh, there's good aliens and bad aliens. And that is where your life is going to come to an end. By thinking that there are no good aliens. They're all the seed of Satan. Have you ever seen Satan produce anything that is good? It's impossible. It's against his nature. All of Satan, everything that comes out of him, every idea, thought, performative action is demonic, and it is meant to steal, kill, and destroy. But for instance, they will do Decepticons and Autobots, right? So the Autobots are socialized to you early in the morning as the good forces, the friendly ones. And the Autobots are always representative of that class of Nephilim that is going to come to mankind. The blonde ones, the blue-eyed ones, the tall ones who will say we are of peace. That's always the section of the wicked who will come to us, like the Gibeonites with their little torn clothing says, we come from afar, and we come because there's a book that's lost on earth, and the book contains the secret of how to save the universe. And human beings, being of no discernment, always pair with the lesser so-called good evil ones. And then they team up mankind and demons to turn and supposedly fight the real demons. And so in these movies, you will always hear a speech of discontent coming from someone on the evil side, talking about they are fools and they think they serve a greater one. That would be God. It's always God. If God is not cursed in an American action movie, what are we even doing? So there will always be a speech. There will always be some kind of discontent. And there was a time when I went to see that movie, the second, whatever, Transformers movies, years ago with friends of mine. And because I was reading a book in the cinema. And so my attention was split. And that, I think, is how I was able to hear what I always call the tones of Satan. Satan has tones that he follows. And I immediately got up and walked out of a 2-hour and something movie. I think we'd already just done 45 minutes or something. I said I needed to get a snack, and I never came back. People were texting me, where are you? Are you coming back? You're missing the best part. I never came back. I sat in the lobby and read my book for the entire 2 hours that they were in there, and then we went home. And I have not spent any money to see Avengers, to see nothing, because it has nothing to do with me. I cannot be supporting Nephilim with my hard-earned money when there's other things to buy. And so this exoskeleton is something that America does have. And the exoskeleton, it was in that movie Pacific Rim that I don't know anything about, except that Idris was in it. And it is a big thing that when a human being gets in it, it wakes up. And if you move your arm, the exoskeleton moves its arm, but it is much bigger than you, and you wear it like a skin. I don't know if it has a head that you put your head in, or if it is just a body. I think it does have a head, and you just put your whole self in it. So you are your small self, arms and legs, inside a big metal frame. Some of them are more fitting. Some exoskeletons are more fitting, and they're made of what feels like superhero Batman clothes. So some exoskeletons get on you and they work with more a biometric kind of feel, meaning that they reactive to skin, reactive to touch, will seal themselves on you, will enhance breathing, will enhance thinking power, will enhance your vision and everything. But these exoskeletons that I saw in the UN prophecy, when I saw how the United Nations were soldiers, right? And that the United Nations is not going to be a positive force in the end times. The United Nations is actually going to be the largest military force they're going to be worse than the ICE agents. The ICE agents don't know that this thing that they're teaching them is to socialize them to go into that. UN forces will be the most terrible and destructive in the end times. And I saw that they have those of them who will be wearing exoskeletons and walking like this, douche, douche, douche. And that man that I tried to tussle with in the dream by, the usual spiritual rebuking thing, hey, this, that man flung me against the wall of my bedroom that it was not a funny story. I said that one side of my bedroom basically turned to outside. And I saw the United Nations bringing tanks and hiding them in what looked like a barn, which is why Americans need to know that when it's time for the military takeover of the United States, you aren't even going to get to cough. You will not be able to cough, dear listener. The tanks have been moved all over the country. I think some people recorded it. I think we've been watching movement of tanks for the last couple of years, and everybody's like, there's like 40 tanks on I-30. Where are they going? They were going to whatever warehouse is needed to take over Iowa, needed to take over Miami, needed to take over anywhere. The tanks have already been hidden out of sight in tank storages. And so when one side of my room evaporated and I suddenly found myself dressed in outside clothes, but it was still like a 3-sided box, that was my room, and the 4th side was just outside, and I saw them backing up the tanks into one place that they were hiding them, and then these exoskeleton men were coming, goosh, goosh, and it's human beings inside. I could see. The man is like he's inside, standing on stilts, and then the stilts are the end of the man's hides. I don't have anything. Why am I even looking like I have an example of an exoskeleton here? Imagine your husband's full height. And then imagine your husband is told to climb into a robot that is much taller than him. So your husband's feet end at this level. From this level here to all the way down the second level, this is the height of the exoskeleton's foot. Your husband is securely at this level, and all he has to do is move his legs as if he's walking on stilts. And the exoskeleton, his personal transformer, will be walking with those long legs. So basically, your husband's foot ends at the exoskeleton's knee. He's very tall and big. And so those men were coming, and I don't know what Holy Ghost power seized me, and I started rebuking a man in an iron suit, and that man just went boom, and I flew against the wall, and that hit was so hard. I was like on the ground, no longer motivated to witness to anyone who is wearing basically an iron external body. So that is one. And then the smaller neoprene fitting, biometrically sensitive suit is another. And then Ya is basically saying that China's technology in the exoskeleton is faster and lighter and stronger than the American one, and that the Chinese version of the exoskeleton, the outside man, is much better than what America has. And here's something that now feeds into what I said about the young man who's on holiday. I don't know if he's on holiday or if he lives in China, but God says that the Chinese exoskeleton offers a little bit of wolfman to the wearer, in that it can drop down on all fours and go running like a wolf, allowing a man. We are bipedal. This is not meant for running. But God says that with a man perhaps gripping the inside of the hands of his exoskeleton, right? Just like motorbike handles, the exoskeleton will bend the man into a bending position, and then without hurting his body or spine, because it's now become a dog that does all the work, this man on foot will be able to outrun soldiers on foot, because the soldiers are making bipedal time on 2 legs, and a man will outpace them running inside a dog. Imagine. We can definitely expect ads in this prophecy. Excuse me, please. So the Chinese version can bend low into an all-fours position and make a man run in that position without putting any effort for himself. The Lord also says that basically the Chinese military can fight with lasers, handheld lasers for combat. And imagine, immediately everybody is thinking of Star Wars, that thing that goes the lightsaber. So that's what he means, handheld lasers for combat. Now, I'm sure that most people thought it wasn't real, and who can blame them, right? Because Star Wars is supposed to be a movie, but then at the same time, what is a stormtrooper if he's not a person inside a white exoskeleton, right? So Yah is then saying that these lasers can cut human flesh, but because they carry so much heat, where you are cut, if your arm is cut off, the heat of the handheld laser will at the same time cauterize the wound. The wound will be immediately sealed, sanitized, and basically seared like a cut of meat, closed, so that despite the exponential agony a person will feel if the arm is cut off or the leg is cut off, they will also be receiving a highly clean surgery in that very minimal blood, no open wound, no gaping flesh, sealed by the heat of the laser. Obviously, what I'm describing to you is an exponentially unheard of, extremely deadly weapon. Nobody wants to be on the receiving end of something that will cut your leg off and then kindly stop you from bleeding out. You won't need an emergency room except maybe for the pain meds. So now you see why he said the wars of the future are going to be man's inhumanity to man. So God is revealing here that when it comes to the war of domination to be fought in the future, whether it's an economic war, a trade war, which is why China is probably always laughing and saying, we are ready for anything America is ready for. You have to be able to discern that for people to speak this way, they're not only signaling that we're not worried, but a thinking person then wants to know, why are they not worried? And just by his own will, on a Sunday morning, God reveals these paragraphs that are now giving us insight into why they are not worried, because they have modern technology that America and Western allies know nothing about. How dangerous is it to provoke and antagonize people who have all manners of things? America's making noise about the fact that Bill Gates is talking about the fact that he has weaponized mosquitoes, diseased automated mosquitoes. Who knows what China has? Who knows what they have? In fact, I have seen online that they have something that strongly resembles cloak of invisibility. I've seen it demonstrated. Some kind of cloth, ordinary looking cloth that they put in front of things and the thing is not there. They put it over a man, they put it over something, the thing is not there. Technology that America and the Western allies know nothing about. This doesn't mean that Putin doesn't know about it. This doesn't mean that this is not something that when he went all the way to China by his bulletproof train. What it means is that the people who always think that they're sitting pretty and that they've got their fingers on the pulse of the world, and that if a war is fought, please listen, Americans, it's very important. It's very important. America and American supporters worldwide, it's very important to know the danger of thinking that you've got your pulse on the world's temperature, and that if any war is going to be fought, you're going to call the shots, only to find out that there are metrics to the thing that you know nothing about. That in normal language is what we call a very nasty surprise waiting for you. Hectically nasty surprise. That's what it means to not know everything that's in your enemy's arsenal. That's what it means to say that you want to go to war with people who are naming their toys the 60-1. And so we have heard about handheld lasers in combat. We have heard about exoskeletons that far surpass what America has managed to achieve. We have heard that the war of domination to be fought in the future is not going to be handed to the United States, but instead will be won and dominated by China. We have heard that there are a whole lot of secret goodies that the United States knows nothing about when it comes to her constant enemy. We have heard that China's capabilities should not be reduced to what America calls a distraction in the field. That any research you might hope to do on their technology and their advancements, you will find the statements, these are not claims, the statements that the Lord has had me make in this video, that they bear out when you do your research. You have heard that China has found a way to surpass America's habit of establishing a paywall to keep most of her people out of the benefits of common technologies that would better their lives, make their existence easier, and these things are reserved only for the wealthy, whereas China has found a way to share information. She has found a way to space out her various production technologies and production pursuits so that her entire country is functioning like different cogs of the same wheel working together. And the benefit is how she has ended up with a one China. And so the population of China, God says, is growing and advancing in how familiar they are with technology, whereas Americans are stagnating because unless her highly secret government can find out a way to monetize and to explain the technologies that they do have, they opt to keep everything secret instead of trying to make the people's lives better. You have heard that God is bringing Mr. Pete Hegseth to the front and showing that this man is harboring animosity in him that does not think that it needs to adhere to what God was showing me in the dream as how we do things here in America. You've heard about earthquake tremors, and know that a terrible earthquake is coming to California along with a massive tsunami that will leave that state devastating, a most provocative event. And you have heard about China's coming domination of the West. I am Celestial, and this is the Master's Voice. The Master's Voice is available on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, and multiple other streaming platforms as a podcast that a lot of people are benefiting from because there's a lot of information here to keep up with, and they have opted to go over to the podcast option so that they can be hands-free, going about their day during the daily things that they have to do, and still be able to cover a lot of ground. There is a Telegram channel. I have different socials, Telegram, Facebook, Instagram. Please feel free to go to those places and support so that the blog can grow and it can help overcome the shadow banning that I experience on many platforms. For instance, if you're being unsubscribed, there's nothing for it. YouTube is going to continue to do it forever. In just today alone, they've taken 70 new subscribers that I know I had. They've stripped it. They regularly strip subscribers from the blog. That's why it takes so long for the numbers to change, because every time they build up maybe 100, 112, YouTube will take 60 to 50 people off from that number every day. So that's why it kind of hovers in the same place. But God sees everything. And it's not a problem. If they unsubscribe you, if you don't get a notification, completely remove yourself, okay? And then resubscribe, click the bell, and then you'll get some notifications. Click it again until it has a little ringing sound, and then it's supposed to give you all notifications. And if you find that you're not getting notifications and you've been cast off again, simply come back and do it again. They go low, we go lower in Jesus' name. And so you can find the blog on TikTok, even though I am down to one more strike before they close my TikTok account, simply for reposting the news, the actual news broadcasts that prove that the prophecies are true. Incredible. I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have Telegram, I have some other things. I'm not sure. I have a BitChute channel, a Rumble channel, a Brighteon channel, and an Odyssey channel where you can watch the videos in case you're having a problem with YouTube. And God bless you, those of you who support the blog. Your gifts are highly appreciated. I pray for you that the Lord will constantly pour back into your basket so that you can increase. And even more than that, let the Lord meet you at the point of particular need that you have. Let the Lord sow things, intangibles that are worth more in silver and gold, such as good sleep, such as peace, such as the gift of self-control that you can find in Galatians 5:22 and 23. Self-control is an immeasurable blessing. It is the kind of thing, along with wisdom, that you cannot buy, even if you tried. Self-control and wisdom will make of your life a beautiful thing in the hands of the Lord, because you will know where to speak. You will know who to speak to. You will know how to speak. You will know when you should hold back. You will know when you should go forth. So I pray for you on the Master's Voice that you will take off that dirty, overly colored robe of Mystery Babylon, and you will simply bow down, get on all fours, and become a sheep like me, the one here who brings you the Lord's prophetic words, because the Lord is only coming back for the obedient sheep of the church. Until I see you again, God bless and goodbye.
Now, I'm 80 years old, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that can hear my voice on TikTok that are my age or older, and we can relate. We can tell you stories about this country that we weren't exactly thrilled about over the years. I'm a vet. I was part of that blockade in 1962 when Kennedy told Khrushchev to remove those missiles out of Cuba. We went down there. I was in the Navy. We went down there and we blockaded him. And we all thought we were going to have a nuclear war back then. That's what we actually thought was going to happen. But level heads prevailed. We don't have those level heads today. You've got Pete Hegseth has told all the generals and the admirals that are stationed all over the world, drop what you're doing and you come to Washington because we're going to have a talk. And I'm pretty sure Trump is going to be with me. And we're going to give you a pep talk, see? We're going to let you know that whatever orders that you receive, you're going to follow them. That's what this meeting is all about. If you think it's any different, you're out of your mind, okay? And at the same time, Trump has ordered National Guard troops to Portland, Oregon, and he has given them the order, use full force if needed. What does that mean? Full force. It tells me to think about May 4th, 1970, when the National Guard was called to Kent University because students were protesting the Vietnam War. And those National Guard troops murdered 4 students. Now, what if that was to happen in Portland, Oregon? Now, we know National Guard because they're our neighbors. Some of them are our family. And the President of the United States has ordered them to use full force if necessary. Now, what if they was to do that? What if they actually gunned down their neighbors or their relatives, for that matter? This is what everybody should be afraid of today. Because, I mean, he proves every day, Trump proves every day, he's mentally unstable. And he's given the military, he's given them orders to use full force. He's not going to stop, okay? And I've said this, and I'm going to keep right on saying, everything he's doing right now with the military, the National Guard troops going to all these cities, it's a prelude to martial law. And that's another reason why this meeting with the admirals and generals in Washington today is going on. Because he's letting them know you're going to be getting orders and you're going to follow them.
The Secretary of Defense is taking the unusual step of calling hundreds of generals and admirals to meet with him. Charlie D'Agata is at the Pentagon.
The meeting is set for next Tuesday at the Quantico Marine Corps base in Virginia. A gathering of this size in person on such short notice is rare, if not unprecedented. There are around 800 general-level officers in the armed forces. It's not clear how many have been summoned or exactly why they've been summoned, even from active war zones around the world. Defense Secretary Hegseth has already ordered a 20% reduction in 4-star officers, and he's fired more than a dozen military military leaders. One retired general told us Hegseth may use the meeting to outline future reductions.
Hundreds of U.S. generals and admirals are expected to attend a really unusual meeting here at Quantico Base in Virginia on Tuesday. And they were summoned last week by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who we're told wants to give a speech about the, quote, warrior ethos and outline new military readiness standards, as well as new grooming and fitness standards for the force. Now, we're also told that President Donald Trump is expected to be here at Quantico on Tuesday, and he is going to be speaking to the gathering of his generals and admirals as well. And sources say it's going to be akin to a, quote, pep rally. It's going to be a chance for Hegseth and for Trump to outline their new vision of the U.S. military under President Trump's administration. Now, generals and flag officers were not told why they actually had to drop everything and travel to Virginia. And a lot of them have raised questions about why they need to be here in person in order to hear Secretary Hegseth make these remarks, especially because these remarks are expected to be live streamed and they are going to be recorded to be released later as well. But a lot of the military officers, prior to really understanding the purpose of this meeting, had raised concerns that perhaps it could be some kind of loyalty test, because Secretary Hegseth, as we have heard previously from him, he has expressed disdain many times for the very generals and admirals that are going to be assembled in that room on Tuesday.
This morning, hundreds of admirals and generals are leaving their posts from airfields, at sea, and at tactical headquarters around the world. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth summoning all U.S. general officers and admirals in command positions and senior enlisted leaders to a meeting at the U.S. Marine Corps base in Quantico, Virginia. But even those told to attend the meeting do not know what prompted Hegseth's call and what will be discussed. The Pentagon saying only the Secretary of War will be addressing his senior military leaders early next week. President Trump was asked about the meeting, but perhaps misunderstanding the question or unaware of the Hegseth meeting, he seemed to think it was foreign generals who were coming to meet Hegseth.
Well, I know. I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let him be friendly. Let him be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why is there something? No, but is there something wrong?
Vice President Vance stepping in.
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War.
But there has not been a meeting quite like this one, and it has created apprehension among senior officers. Last May, Hegseth ordering at least a 20% reduction in the number of four-star generals and admirals across the active duty force.
It's in keeping with President Trump's commitment to achieving peace through strength. We're going to shift resources from bloated headquarters elements to our warfighters.
The secretary has already fired at least 15 senior military officers, including General C.Q. Brown, the then chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the first woman to command the Navy, Admiral Lisa Franchetti, also let go. While the topic of the meeting remains a mystery, given what President Trump and J.D. Vance said about it, it does not appear to be an urgent national security matter. But having this many senior officers away from their post does create concern among some. Rebecca?
What have you heard from the ranks of folks that may be attending this type of meeting in anticipation of what is to come as you've been talking to your sources?
There's a tremendous amount of concern about this meeting and what they're going to be told and what's going to happen. I think that there is a huge amount of trepidation among not just the people who are going to be there, but people who work for them, people who served at high ranks in the military about the optics of this. Is this going to look like there are hundreds of men and women with stars on their shoulders who are deferential or who seem to be in some ways praising the commander-in-chief? Now, he is their commander-in-chief. He is the head of the United States military. So, of course, there would be deference, but it's a very fine line, and there's a lot of concern about how this is going to look, not just here in the United States, but overseas. This is the kind of gathering that would not usually happen in the United States. I can't say it's unprecedented, but we've not been able to find any case where anything like this has occurred in the United States with the U.S. military. There is a tremendous amount of trepidation about this event tomorrow.
Remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Okay, yeah, please.
Secretary Hegseth is inviting military leaders from all around the country on Tuesday. Will you also be there?
From all around the country to what?
small ones who
To Virginia. He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting.
Well, I know. I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let him be friendly. Let him be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why is there something? Nobody's there something wrong.
What is it about? Will you be there personally as well? What is it about?
Well, I'll be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all. Remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Is it a big story? I mean,
I don't think it is, sir.
I would think it's no, but isn't it a good story? I mean, we're respected from all over the world as a military force. I rebuilt the military during my first term, and even though we gave a chunk of it away to Afghanistan, but we're talking Afghanistan too, by the way, about Bagram and about that. But that's a very small amount compared to what we rebuilt it by. But I rebuilt the military, and we're very respected. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world without question. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We're selling the equipment to other countries. And a lot of generals want to be here and they want to look at they're also going to be touring equipment sites. They're going to be talking about the newest weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's great when generals and top people want to come to the United States to be with our now called Secretary of War. Does everybody like the name? I do.
You said something really interesting.
This was unusual when we first learned about it, despite the White House saying that it wasn't, that they thought this was a positive gathering of the top generals. But you have so many of them coming from their posts all over the world for what will ultimately be a speech from both the president and from now the Secretary Pete Hegseth of the Department of what they call War, of course, the Department of Defense formerly. And they are going to be talking about what the White House and what the Trump administration hope is a message of how they feel they have transformed the military under the leadership of both of those men. And they're going to be talking about this, quote, warrior ethos. But yes, President Trump was not a part of the original plan, but now we're told that he will be going there. He will be addressing these generals.
We have some news right now. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, is reportedly facing immense pressure at the Pentagon. And according to the Daily Beast, staffers have described him as, quote, manic. And that staffers have described him as, quote, having fits of rage and tumultuous tirades. Following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the staffers that spoke to the Daily Mail and the Daily Beast say that Hegseth is becoming, quote, increasingly obsessed with his own security and exhibits frenzied behavior, including fidgeting and pacing during meetings. Quote, there's a manic quality about him, or let me rephrase, an even more manic quality, which is really saying something, dude is crawling out of his skin. Now, this comes as Pete Hegseth has launched attacks on the media, restricting what media outlets are able to report out of the Pentagon. It also comes as he's called this emergency meeting with military leaders around the world tomorrow just to give them a pep talk. So we'll see what happens next. Spread the word. As always, subscribe to my Substack, linked in bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along for all the news you need to know about. I'll have much more coming soon.
Celestial, America is preparing for an earthquake. All of this that you see is how I'm warning them of a great earthquake. They shall have a great earthquake, and the roads are preparing to split apart in every way. The roads are telling them what is coming, but they're acting as if they can't see it. They're having warnings in every state that the ground is not stable. The surface is loosening as a way to tell them that the underparts of the earth are in motion. The underparts of the earth are slowly shifting every day until the shifting underneath has cracked the road's top, but they are preferring not to see it. Every state is complaining of these cracks, and many are experiencing changes in other weather phenomena, but they keep reporting it as a strange thing is happening in this and that place. A strange thing. A strange thing. It is a strange thing indeed, not to recognize your own destruction when it is right upon you. celestial, look at the earth. And I looked and I saw the earth in America rocking. It was rocking what we would call imperceptibly, meaning that the degree to which it was rocking was so small in some places that you would really, really have to pay attention to see any motion at all. Excuse me, please. So the roads, in some places, that is the under part where you can't see, the part that's underneath all the road and surface materials that we put to be able to carry out daily life. That part either seemed to be chafing itself. It seemed to be rubbing back and forth like this. So this rubbing back and forth was taking place at the lower level. And then it also seemed to be swaying in small measures that you could barely see at all. Yet after it had done that for a while, either the back and forth rubbing measures, the chafing, where the ground is actually shifting back. That's one kind of rocking. And then where it was swaying side to side, as in the whole ground goes here and here, here and here. You have to understand that after a while of that taking place at the lower level, because the lower level isn't stable, eventually it's going to cause too much pressure on tar and crushed rocks and whatever they use to lay roads that is laying in one solid flat layer. If something is solid and flat, laid on a surface that once used to be solid and flat also, but then the bottom starts moving back and forth, this part on top will experience too much distress, and then it will eventually crack. And then I saw the cracks start to spread up and down, because now once the solidity of the top layer has been split like this, then the crack will just run all the way up and run all the way down. And so I saw the roads splitting just like when the seams of trousers split. And this is what the Lord said to me. America is preparing for the earthquake. And everywhere you see the cracks appearing, the quake will be felt in that place, because the ground is already weakened in that place. The cracks will tell the story of how far the damage of the California earthquake goes. Go and tell them what you see.
At 6:45:29 UTC on September 26, 2025, a magnitude 5.9 earthquake struck 231 kilometers west of Bandon, Oregon. The epicenter was located on the Pacific Plate near the deformation front of the Cascadia subduction zone. No tsunami alert was issued. Depth remains unconfirmed. No damage has been reported. This was an outer rise earthquake in a known stress loading zone adjacent to the locked portion of the Cascadia fault. That fault has not ruptured since January 26, 1700. It remains fully locked along its entire length from Northern California to British Columbia. Roughly an hour later, a magnitude 3.0 aftershock occurred in the same offshore region. No additional activity has been recorded so far. Seismic networks are monitoring for tremor patterns, slip events, and changes in strain across the plate boundary. Cascadia has shifted. The surrounding fault environment is being actively observed for changes. We will update immediately if further seismic movement or inland deformation is detected.
And I shared that in July, three times when I was working and for some reason sitting on the floor, able to perceive it, everything in my house, everything that could rattle was rattling, and yet the floor was not shaking. When you live above the trains, the floor shakes, you feel it, you will feel it. But I didn't feel any shaking that I could pick up, but everything, all my plates and all the cups and everything in the cupboards that could move was going, and I was thinking, that is earthquake, but I don't feel anything. And then just shortly after, the Lord would bring me into this 10 video California arc that I'm just making back to back to back. And he told me that no, New York will have an earthquake, and that earthquake will affect the integrity of buildings. And so that is something that we have to understand.
Good afternoon. Hope everyone's doing well on this Saturday, September 6th, 2025 at 5:11 p.m. We just had a magnitude 3.5 earthquake felt in Riverside County, San Bernardino County. Also parts of Orange County, LA County felt a little bit of shaking this afternoon. Now remember, last month on August 5th and 6th, we had a magnitude 3.5, a magnitude 3.5, and a magnitude 3.7 near Lido Creek, Ontario, and Rialto. So more shaking has occurred now. Is this the same type of area? A little bit far more to the west, northwest. So different area, still monitoring this, but it is always good to be earthquake ready. You never know when these earthquakes could strike. This is light shaking, nothing too major. It was a small earthquake, folks, but yes, we did have one. Well, good morning, everyone. We just had a magnitude 5.9 earthquake that just struck off the coast of Oregon on the Juan de Fuca Fault. Remember, about 3 weeks ago, we had a magnitude 5.8 earthquake. So this is a stronger earthquake now on the Juan de Fuca Fault. Not many people felt it along the Pacific Northwest at this time. I know Southern Oregon may have felt a little bit of light shaking. This was definitely well offshore. This occurred on September 25th at 11:45 p.m. PDT. So it just happened just a few minutes ago. And again, this was a magnitude 5.9 earthquake. You never know when these earthquakes are going to strike. It is a reminder on how volatile the fault systems can be. And it's a reminder that we can also see more earthquakes that can occur, just like we waited 3 weeks and now boom, here comes another one. So always be earthquake ready, guys. Always.
This is the Weekend Earthquake Report for September 27th to 28th, 2025. We recorded several magnitude 5+ earthquakes over the weekend, spanning across oceans and continents. In the Pacific, a magnitude 5.5 struck south of the Fiji Islands, while the Coral Sea and Vanuatu region saw multiple quakes. A 5.1 off the Oregon coast, 5.0 off Izangel, 5.5 near Tegua Island, and another 5.0 near Port Vila. Further inland, Kütahya, Turkey experienced a magnitude 5.2 that was widely felt across Balıkesir province. In the Solomon Islands region, a magnitude 5.2 quake hit to the south of Lata. This period has shown continued activity in both oceanic and continental settings. The Pacific arcs remain particularly energetic, while intraplate regions like Turkey also remind us that quakes can occur outside classic subduction zones. If anything major happens overnight, we'll be the first to report it.
Honestly, in 100 years, I think we're going to become the third world country. Like, I literally think Canada and North America, we are going to become the third world country. The education system in China is honestly unlike anything that I've ever seen. These are kids in kindergarten. They're sewing. Look at what they're doing. Like, it is honestly unbelievable. This is an account that I just started following, and it completely blew my mind. Literally, the hands-on learning, the motor skills that these kids have to be able to sew in that kind of detail, it is just absolutely mind-blowing. It's not just that. Like, look at their gym. I don't think I know 15-year-olds that can do this. Like, that is crazy. These are just kids. They're literally 5, 6, 7 years old. Look at that. They're building a society of champions, a society of doers. And honestly, I really do believe that in North America, we need to start looking at what they're doing in their education system, because in 100 years, they're going to surpass us in every single measure. There's no way they're more than 3, 4 years old. Have you ever seen a kid with this type of motor skills? I've never seen anyone at that age be able to do that and have that type of like hand-eye coordination. Like, look at the things that they're teaching them. It's all hands-on training. It's all useful stuff. And I'm going to show you some cooking videos. Like the cooking that they're doing, they're teaching them everything from the beginning. Look, they're starting them at such a young age. It is unbelievable. It is. This is honestly probably one of my new favorite accounts right now. This is one of those like cute little like Barbie ovens or anything like that. Like, this is the real deal. Like, they are cooking food. They are learning how to actually cook. Like, this is honestly incredible. This is the type of stuff that our schools need to be doing. Like, why are we not doing even half of this stuff? Our education system needs a complete reform. We need to start showing society things that are useful, things that will make kids successful. Laying bricks? Like, this is crazy. I've never been taught this ever in my life. It is unreal. Like, I could just keep going on and on about how honestly unbelievable this is. Kindergarten. These are kindergarten kids. I wouldn't even know where to begin how to do this. Like, and I'm an adult. I'm in my mid-40s. I'm a middle-aged man, and these kids have more skills than I do. Like, look at this. It is just amazing. Anyways, I tried to compile some of the best of everything that I've seen, and it's absolutely astonishing.
Schools in China are making students wear AI headbands, and these headbands are tracking everything. Their focus levels, homework completion, they're even documenting every time a student yawns. But here's the craziest part. All that data is being streamed in real time back to teachers and parents, and they're using it to build AI models that improve their curriculum. It's pretty insane. Now, the headbands work by showing a light based on a live feed of the student's brain. If it's red, that means the student is deeply focused. But if it's blue, that means someone's getting caught in a little bit of a daydream. So as students are taking a test, the teacher is live tracking who is paying attention and who isn't. And they're graphing how that attention changes every 10 minutes throughout the entire day. Those graphs are automatically sent to all of the parents. Imagine daily report cards based only on if you were paying attention. Pretty crazy. Now, the headbands aren't the only AI tracking tools used at the schools. They have robots and cameras that are constantly monitoring focus through advanced facial scanning. And if we're being honest, this is scary, but it's probably just the beginning. AI in education is only going to get wilder. Let's just say, I'm glad they didn't have this at my school.
I'm in China, and they have robotic legs to help you hike. China is so advanced, and they said we can try it for free.
Yes.
Okay, where do I go?
Here.
So these are all the different things, right?
No. It's same robot.
Okay.
It's named Sport Assist Robot.
Sport Assist Robot.
Yes.
Okay.
It can help you climbing, walking, running, and riding.
So if I'm running, I can run faster?
Yes.
No way. Get me on this thing. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Who want to try first?
Me, I do.
Who want to try first?
Okay, so what is this? This goes around my waist?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Here.
Okay, here we go. Guys, this is real China, real robots.
This is the best technology in China.
Really?
The best technology. I can say it's the best technology in the world.
Really?
Yes, sport robot.
So guys, he's connecting the robot now. So I have it around my waist.
Yes.
It feels pretty light. I think it's like, what, 1.8 kilo?
1.8 kilo.
So it's like 4 pounds in total, the robot. Okay, so now he's wrapping it around my kneecaps. This is insane. Okay, so now I'm fully... Okay, he's gonna start it up now. Okay, hold on, I'm feeling a little bit of like joltiness. And he's connecting with the phone. Guys, China is the most technologically advanced country I've ever seen in my life. I thought it was Japan, but China is winning this battle. Something's happening with the legs.
Okay.
What? Okay, what am I doing?
Okay.
Okay.
Start to walk. Walking normally.
Okay, I'm walking normally. Whoa, oh my gosh! It's like moving for me. It's like easy walking.
Listen to me.
Okay.
In here have AI.
Okay.
And it can feel you walking frequency.
Okay.
This robot will fit you, not you fit the robot. This robot will fit you.
Okay. So can I run?
Yes, you can run.
Now?
Sure.
Now I can go?
No.
The robot is like, I'm putting no effort into running, and I'm like running so good.
You can change the power.
Yeah, can we put like maximum power?
The max power?
Yeah, max power.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I don't know if this is a good idea. Bro, how does it feel?
It's like doing upgrade. This is the max power.
Max power.
Walking carefully. Okay.
Can I run or no?
Yes.
Run? Guys, the robot wants to move by itself. Okay. Oh, it's moving for me. I'm not walking. I am not walking. This is literally the future. I'm running with a robot. This is wow.
But it's saving me.
Wow. Brother, this is the coolest thing I have ever seen in my life.
Sure?
Yes.
Yes. 2 weeks ago, where are you from?
America.
America. Oh, American. An American woman died
She bought it.
She bought it.
How much does this cost?
It cost about $915.
$950?
Yes.
Bro, that's way cheaper than I thought it would be.
Like $1,000.
$1,000. $1,000.
$1,000.
And how much battery life does it have?
We have two battery here. One battery.
Okay.
Two battery.
The batteries are on my butt.
Can support you use 8 hours. 8 hours. 8 to 10 hours.
Wow.
8 to 10 hours.
Guys, China has robot body suits for less than $1,000. Insane.
Wearing a walking robot bodysuit in China. This is an assisted robot perfect for elders or hikers with knee issues. The robot is like shooting my leg forward. I'm putting zero effort into this. I can't explain this in words, but this is some freaky Chinese robotics. So imagine like you're walking on a pillow. They said that this technology is 1 year old. This is improving my walking speed while reducing the amount of effort I have to put. This is insane. This is China.
Chinese are climbing mountains with robot suits. And if that's not wild enough, robot dogs are carrying their bags too. At Mount Tai, a sacred mountain with over 7,000 steps, tourists, especially the elderly, are renting robotic exoskeletons to help them reach the top. The suit weighs 1.8 kilograms and uses AI to detect your movements and assists your legs as you walk uphill. The battery lasts 5 hours and covers up to 14 kilometers and costs around 60 to 80 yuan per use. Designed for people with mobility issues, people in the comments have other ideas, like using it as a cheat code for losing weight. So, would you try this on your next hike?
China is so advanced. This is a robotic ice cream vending machine. You choose the type that you want and then you scan the QR code to pay. It registers and then the robot begins to take out a cup. It fills the cup with the ice cream of your choice. It adds on any toppings that you selected. Then it's done.
I bet you have never seen this before. This is a vending machine in China that allows you to place your drink in this compartment. But what it does to your drink is the cool part. Once it lights up, it means it's going to work. And all you have to do is hold your bottle upside down and slowly in real time, your drink will freeze up and chill. Perfect for the summer.
Alright guys, I gotta show you something about this crazy Chinese stuff. We click this button and we scan our face. And then we just open it. Take one of those. Yeah. We can just walk away.
6 everyday things in China that made me realize we're living in the past. Let's go. Nah, but it's embarrassing how behind the rest of the world is. Watch this. Number 1, face or palm scan payments. You don't need your phone or your wallet out here. You can actually scan things with just your face and your palm alone. And a lot of times, if you're trying to get into like a water park or an arcade, you just scan your face to get in. Number 2, delivery robots. And I'm not just talking about the food robots that you see on the streets, because a lot of other places have that as well. I'm talking like legit AI robots that'll deliver your food straight to your door. I've also been in the malls and seen robots dancing and talking like normal people. It's scary. Number 3, public toilets with heated seats and self-cleaning systems. But Christian, that's not really high tech. I'm not talking about the heated seats alone. No, I'm talking about toilets with legit sensory flush, bidets, music, strobe lights coming out of there. Like, you guys don't understand. The best feature out of all of this is how it auto cleans after every person, even in public parks. Number 4, high-speed trains that make planes look dumb. Most of these times, these trains go insane speeds and it doesn't even make sense to fly. And most of the time they come fully serviced with plenty of staff and food, and they're way cheaper than a lot of these flights. Number 5, the traffic lights with countdown timers. Every single intersection has a huge timer on it that tells people when exactly it's going to turn red or green. And the craziest thing is that the GPSs also reflect the timer on the screen, so you know exactly when to go or stop. Number 6, smart trash cans that can talk and sort your garbage. The trash cans here will scan what you toss, and if you toss it in the wrong section, you will have a robot screaming at you. And there y'all have it. Those are 6 futuristic things here in China. I hope y'all enjoyed that episode. I love y'all. Be safe. Peace.
While most countries are still testing driverless cars, China already put them on the streets. For real. In cities like Guangzhou and Shenzhen, autonomous buses run daily routes. No driver, no steering wheel, just AI, LiDAR, and sensors handling everything. These buses navigate real traffic, stop precisely at stations, and even communicate with traffic lights. That's a level 4 autonomy. No human input needed. But it doesn't stop there. Robotaxis are live in Wuhan. You book, it shows up, you get in, and it drives off by itself. Even deliveries are handled by driverless vans now. Groceries and parcels show up at your door without a single human in the vehicle. This isn't the future. This is China right now. And the rest of us are playing catch up.
China already manufactures what will be trendy in 2026. And you could see it before anyone else. Every day, more than 4,000 new products are created in Chinese factories. Gadgets, household items, sustainable solutions, and technology that isn't yet available in America or any other countries. The business is about getting ahead, not waiting for everyone to sell it. I live in the world's factories and have direct access to these products before they reach the mass market. If you don't like to receive a private catalog or innovative products to stay ahead of your competition and align ourselves to establish a long-term relationship, write to me and I will be your business partner in China. Bye.
China. The technology in China is unbelievable. So, say for example you're out, you're having a fun time, you didn't bring your charger, you didn't bring your USB cable. Back in Europe, that's an issue. However, if you're in China, that's of no issue. So, say you want to charge your phone, they have benches with wireless chargers built in, and they're all powered by solar panels. Same here, same here, same here, same here. So, I think I'll sit here and charge my phone for a good 30 minutes, get that free charge.
Whoa, charger! This is our $1,200 a month penthouse here in China. This place has crazy features before entering the unit, such as a key fob entrance, face scan to enter your building, and we even have a private elevator that takes us right up to our front door. Can you believe it? To enter our unit, all you have to do is place your thumb on the door handle and it reads your fingerprint, and then voila. Our penthouse consists of 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. We're only 2 people, so of course we're going to be turning the other bedrooms into an office, a content room, and maybe a movie theater, depending on how we feel. The living room is very spacious, and to be honest, this is what sold us when searching for the perfect penthouse. I mean, look at all of this room. The next thing that sold us was the kitchen. If you don't know, your boy MJ is a chef, so I like to throw down in the kitchen. So once I saw how much room the kitchen had, my mind was already made up. And yes, it came furnished 100%, meaning we didn't have to purchase any of the furniture items that you see. All we had to do was pay and move in the same day. This penthouse also came with heated floors, washer and dryer, a refrigerator, and it even comes with a digital tablet that controls the elevator to let some of your guests up and down, and you can even see what's going on around the property, thanks to the security cameras. It doesn't get any better than this for $1,200 a month. What can $1,200 get you a month in your country? And for all of the people that don't think this is really our place, watch this. Comment down below penthouse to see the full YouTube video.
Invented bone glue. If you fracture or break one of your bones, all they do is open you up and add some glue to it, and boom, you're fine. You don't even gotta wear a cast. And people are saying, meanwhile, in America, we're bringing back the polio virus. Yeah, it's got 3.8 million views, 170,000 likes, and people are just constantly talking about in the comments just how much better China is. Like, didn't they literally come up with like robots and all this crazy stuff? They're also coming with other insane inventions. Like, they literally came out with TikTok, which is crazy. But yeah, what do y'all think about this in the comments? Because it literally seems like a lot of people are like, yeah, I think I'm going to move to China now. But some people are actually defending America, by the way. Meanwhile, China probably stole the technology from the US. Yeah, okay, bro. That is literally what the US wants you to think. Like, oh, anything good from China? Oh, they stole it from the US. Like, dude, get the hell out of here. What are you even saying? Anyways, what do y'all think about this in the comments? Because I literally see like new breaking news stuff like this like every single other week where they come up with some insane thing. I mean, the fact that you can have bone glue for fractured bones is insane. But yeah, what do y'all think about this in the comments? It literally only takes 3 minutes and no surgery or medical plates are needed anymore.
Hey, China, what's new with you? Bro, we made something awesome. We made a glue that would fix broken bones in minutes. Wait, is that even possible? Yeah, for many years, if someone broke a bone, doctors would put metal plates and screws to keep the bone in place. And the healing would take so many months and would even need a second surgery. Why? To take the metal out. But then scientists were like, can we fix a bone the same way we can glue things together? And then they looked in nature and they studied oysters. Oysters? Yeah, if you don't know, oysters make a special glue that works in wet, salty, and running water, while normal glues don't work in water. So scientists here made a glue called Bone 2 that works like oyster glue, but it's safe for humans. Okay, no way that works though, right? Oh, we tried it. So someone had a broken wrist, so the doctors gave him 1 injection of that glue, and in just 3 minutes, the broken bone pieces were glued together. Okay, this is amazing, but did it heal after? Yeah, after 3 months, the doctors checked on the patient, and the wrist was fully healed. The glue worked, and there were no infections, no problems, and no other surgery needed. I love this. This would change medicine. It would, and hopefully we don't need those screws anymore. So we're proud of this new invention. China, this is just amazing.
This is so cool. This is a viral Chinese invention right now called the Smart Urinal. And what it does, it can detect the liquids which are coming from you and gives you a full health diagnosis based on what it can see. Now, it can detect things like diabetes, other health deterioration, which you're probably not aware of, and then gives you a full report on the screen for you to give your doctor. Now, this will definitely become common in most countries eventually, but China is so far ahead of everybody else right now.
built a whole road in China in like a very short period of time, just using robots and AI. So this is no humans, man. This is all robots. And they did this in record time. They did the whole road. Like, if you're a guy who this is your livelihood, you should be terrified, you know? And then once they iron the systems out and they get them even better and better and more robust, you're going to have no need for so many people that are working.
In a groundbreaking feat, China has completed the world's first semi-autonomous highway paving operation, covering 165 kilometers along the Beijing-Hong Kong-Macau Expressway, a vital artery known as China's Golden Channel. This corridor links the economic hubs of the north to the manufacturing powerhouses of the south, a route so critical that its 2015 traffic jam, dubbed Carmageddon, saw 750 million travelers stranded for hours when 5 lanes were reduced to 2 at a toll station. That disaster exposed the limitations of traditional infrastructure and spurred China's leaders to seek smarter, faster, and more efficient solutions. The answer materialized in the form of 10 AI-powered machines, a robotic construction crew that has redefined what's possible in infrastructure development. These machines, arriving at dawn on the expressway, were no ordinary equipment. At their core was the SAP 200C-10PA, a behemoth capable of laying 4 lanes of asphalt simultaneously. With a 19.25-meter wide screed, it stretched across the entire width of the highway, spreading hot asphalt with a precision unattainable by human workers. Supported by a formation engineers call 1 + 3 + 3 + 3, the lead paver was followed by 3 groups of 3 rollers, 6 13-ton double drum rollers to press the asphalt into place, and 3 30-ton rubber-wheeled rollers for final compaction. Together, they moved in a synchronized dance, resembling a mechanical whale gliding forward, its heated screed melting and spreading asphalt in a flawless ribbon. What sets this operation apart is the autonomy of these machines. Far from following pre-programmed paths, they made thousands of decisions every second, guided by artificial intelligence systems that rival the sophistication of top tech companies.
Fun fact, China just paved 100 miles of highway using fully autonomous construction equipment controlled by satellites and AI. The project used one unmanned asphalt paver and 6 autonomous compaction rollers to complete the road. The only humans involved were the dump truck drivers loading the asphalt into the paver. The 7 machines were controlled using the Baidu navigation satellite system, which is China's version of GPS, and the machines' movements were coordinated using an AI algorithm that allowed them to work with extreme precision, with the machines passing within an inch of each other and achieving near-perfect asphalt thickness.
Connected to China's Baidu satellite system, the machines achieved centimeter-level precision, placing asphalt with the accuracy of a surgeon's scalpel while moving at construction speeds. The AI analyzed the road surface in real time, adjusting pressure, speed, and positioning as needed. When the lead paver detected a slight variation in the ground, it automatically adjusted its screed angle. When rollers sensed a section needed more compaction, they applied additional pressure. Human supervisors, monitoring from remote control rooms, were ready to intervene but rarely needed to, as the machines operated with remarkable independence. This technological marvel is the result of years of development by Sany, one of China's largest heavy machinery manufacturers. Their engineers tackled unprecedented challenges, teaching machines to feel when asphalt is compacted correctly, detect obstacles, and maintain perfect formation without human guidance. The solution lay in what SANY calls fusion self-sensing high-precision positioning. Each machine was equipped with multiple layers of sensors, cameras, and communication systems. Infrared sensors detected heat variations in the asphalt, pressure sensors monitored compaction levels, and GPS tracked positions to within centimeters. A low-latency communication network allowed the 10 machines to share information instantly, ensuring seamless coordination. Safety was paramount. Construction sites are inherently dangerous, and removing human operators requires the machines to be exceptionally vigilant. Each was fitted with electronic fences, creating invisible barriers around moving equipment. Emergency stop functions could halt operations in milliseconds if something went awry. Real-time obstacle detection systems, utilizing radar and cameras, identify potential hazards before they become issues. Perhaps the most impressive innovation was zero-edge rolling. Human operators often struggle to compact asphalt right up to the road's edge, leaving gaps or damaging curves. The robotic rollers, guided by advanced tracking algorithms, followed the pavement's edge with millimeter precision, delivering perfect results every time. The economic implications are profound. Traditional highway construction demands dozens of workers, multiple shifts, and constant supervision. This semi-autonomous approach reduced labor requirements while enhancing quality and consistency. The machines worked tirelessly, with fewer breaks and more predictable outcomes than human crews. Construction time was reduced, though the full extent of savings is still being analyzed as the technology evolves. Beyond efficiency, the project signals a broader transformation. China's ambitions extend far beyond highways. They're developing autonomous systems for bridge construction, tunnel boring, and building assembly, aiming for a nationwide network of intelligent infrastructure that operates with minimal human intervention. The world is watching. The European Union is studying China's methods. Japan is developing its own robotic systems for the 2030 World Expo. And the United States, despite trade tensions, is quietly exploring similar technologies through its Department of Transportation.
The world's tallest bridge has now officially opened for travelers to cross in southwest China. Nestled in mountainous terrain, it soars 625 meters above a river and is nearly 9 times as tall as San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. It took nearly 3 years to build, slashing travel time across the deep canyon from 2 hours to just 2 minutes.
You will never in a million years guess what Chinese students are doing for their summer break. They are learning how to become a drone flight planner. It is the hardest job in China this summer. Okay, so what is that? This isn't just flying a drone in your backyard. Think of it being an air traffic controller, but instead of directing a few planes, you are in charge of a whole swarm of drones at once, telling them where to go, what to do, and how not to crash into each other. And why? Because China is building a new highway in the sky called the low altitude economy. So basically everything that happens in the sky up to 1,000 meters, they want drones to do everything. Deliver your packages, inspect skyscrapers, and even help with farming. The Chinese government sees this as a new engine for growth. forecasting it to be a $210 billion market for this year, 2025 alone. The only problem is they are building this massive new industry so fast. They don't even have nearly enough people to do the jobs. They need about 1 million workers in total. So the opportunity is huge. The people are literally quitting their old careers in things like real estate agencies to get certificated as drone pilots. It's like a modern-day gold rush. China now has over 2.1 million registered drones, but only 247,000 licensed pilots. That means for every licensed drone pilot, there are about 9 drones that need managing. The math doesn't add up, and it's not just a side hustle, it is official. The Chinese government has officially recognized this as a brand new profession. And top universities in China are also offering full bachelor degrees in this. And this isn't the only new job that China announced. There are 17 in total. Others including cross-border e-commerce operation manager, elderly care service worker, AI-generated animation producer, sleep health manager, coffee or herbal tea barista, etc. Personally, I feel like this sounds like a nightmare for the show Career Ladder. So here I challenge Max Klimentel to get this out.
For the first time in history, China has completed a manned dive beneath the Arctic ice, a place few thought humans could ever reach. Using the Jiaolong submersible and supported by multiple research ships, scientists explored one of Earth's most extreme frontiers. They uncovered surprising details about deep-sea ecosystems, from shifts in biodiversity to the mysterious flow of marine snow that sustains life in the dark. These discoveries will sharpen climate models and help us understand how the Arctic's rapid changes ripple across the planet. This isn't just about exploring the deep. It's about uncovering the hidden forces shaping our future. To dive deeper, click the link to watch our full video and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you there.
Whoever invented this is a true genius, and no one could have seen this coming. China has once again astounded the world with an unprecedented feat, the construction of an underwater power station. Many countries are in awe, and you won't believe what's next. Introducing the largest tidal energy power station in China, the Zhangxia Tidal Power Station. This incredible marvel annually contributes over 10 million kilowatt hours of clean energy to the grid. With a total capacity of 3,000 kilowatts, it boasts 6 500 kilowatt water turbine generators that operate for 15 hours a day, utilizing the power of tides to produce completely pollution-free clean energy. It's a testament to China's audacious vision and pioneering spirit that they dared to dream and build a power station under the sea. It's truly mind-blowing. Behind these colossal engineering achievements, there shines an endless beacon of technological progress and innovation. China's relentless infrastructure development and technological prowess are redefining the boundaries of what's possible. Stay tuned for more groundbreaking innovations.
They are now keeping their servers under freaking water. China's newest underwater data center uses the ocean as its natural cooling system, eliminating the massive energy costs that are holding back AI development in the West. While Microsoft gave up on their underwater experiment despite technical success, China's subsea computing cluster near Hainan is fully operational and rapidly expanding. One underwater module delivers computing power equivalent to 30,000 high-end gaming PCs running simultaneously, capable of powering 8,000 DeepSeek AI conversations per second. Why does this matter? China's underwater approach solves the biggest problem in AI cooling. Servers generate enormous heat, but by submerging them, Shenzhen high cloud technology eliminated costly air conditioning systems that drain both power and profits. Microsoft abandoned their Project Natick despite servers failing 8 times less than traditional ones, claiming it wasn't practical for their needs. Meanwhile, China is doubling down, planning 100 underwater modules that will save 122 million kilowatt hours annually. While American companies waste billions on cooling costs, China's underwater AI factories are delivering more computing power with a fraction of the energy consumption, making AI faster, cheaper, and more accessible. Will America's tech giants wake up before China's underwater advantage becomes permanent?
The Chinese hit the jackpot in the fitness niche. They invented a machine that combines running and swimming. It's essentially a classic treadmill, but filled with water. As a result, this machine speeds up fat burning while reducing joint strain. This new format is already being adopted by some gyms around the world.
This is one of the most futuristic cities in the world, Shenzhen, China. Just 40 years ago, it was a fishing village. Now it's a global tech hub with over 17 million people. Its highways crisscross in layers, its buildings and roads are planned down to the millimeter. No wasted space, no random lines, everything is intentional. Trains here don't use wheels. They float on magnetic tracks. Shenzhen was the first city in China to make all public buses fully electric. It has over 20 subway lines, plus airports, high-speed rail, and ports. It was also China's first special economic zone. Thanks to smart policies, it became the world's largest hub for electronics manufacturing. The tech you think of as the future, it's already here. 5G networks everywhere, AI-powered cameras, self-driving delivery bots, even traffic lights that adjust themselves in real time. Living here feels like running a city-sized operating system.
Okay, I'm not sure why it stopped live streaming exactly, but I'm going to stop it here. It's very late. Okay, so I'm not sure why it stopped live streaming exactly. You'll be able to find this on the live channel. That's most of it. There was only about 20 minutes left. I tried to do something that I thought would be helpful for those who weren't able to watch, because not everybody has YouTube Premium. That's a pretty big capital outlay if you think about it, to be paying $14 a month for stuff that you can basically get for free. Just understand that YouTube is always trying to keep the channel down, block the videos. They put the ads in, and I'm still going to put up clips like this because a lot of the things that I've been saying from years ago are becoming extremely relevant now. So many things happening all at once, and it is very necessary for us to be able to focus. I've noticed that people that use this blog can't focus. Your minds are not settled, and I'm not going to hold back in saying that. Your minds are not settled. They just keep running. You can't sit for 2 hours to get the information that you need, knowing that access to chat and, oh, it's so good to be together. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but you're not going into the future like this. If you don't have this kind of rapport with the people that you live with, when it comes down to what it comes down to, when God is sending messages of dispersion, when God is sending messages of attack, when you see the weaponizing of the country that you're living in, you're watching government aggression, and the majority of you have no idea how that ends because you haven't studied places like Austria, you haven't studied places like Poland. If you have studied them, they're merely textbook information. You don't know what it feels like to go to the supermarket, even if you have money, and not be able to access food, to be told that food is rationed, to be told that there is no food. And if I simply organize something and say, I see so many comments, people are saying they couldn't get the information, and I've extended my bedtime by at least 3 hours, and all that's happening is, if you don't pay attention, you're going to regret it. I've constantly said that an exam is going to come up. It doesn't matter if you believe me or not. There is going to be an exam. There is going to be a test. Every single thing that you should have been paying attention to and storing in yourself as oil, Matthew 25. If you didn't store it, if you couldn't sit still for 5 hours to pay attention, What this video shows is how much we have been lied to in the United States. That China is something very small. That's what the government tells you. China's something very small. China's something easy to dismiss. China's something that if you saw in the video, an adult man is watching children that have more life skills than he does at 5 years old, and he still says in 100 years, he still thinks that it will take 100 years for a nation that trains its toddlers that well to surpass America. America is already surpassed. America is already beaten. I always told you that the messages I'm giving to you are updates from God, from the future. From God's point of view, the future has already happened. The future is already over, and America has already lost and been beaten. That means you're behind the curve no matter what I tell you, no matter what message I bring to you. It's already finished. And if you're not able to listen to the video that just came 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks ago, it's 2 days ago. What if you were warned? You are being warned and you can't pay attention. You are being warned and you're acting as if we're in a group movie. Wow, group movie, this is so cool. You're not understanding the purpose that I'm serving here. You're extremely deceived as people. The majority of you could not even discern that that person that you were pouring out your love, that person was a troll. That person in the chat that you were like, oh dear sweetheart, with the Mexican background, that was a troll. That was not a real viewer. That is the kind of person that joins Christian chat and begins to say that they're depressed and they're sad, and they laugh behind the computer screen because they love to watch believers make fools of themselves, and none of you could perceive it. Yet as soon as I went through some of the comments, I could tell this person is not a genuine Christian. This person doesn't know Jesus. And you wrapped your attention around that person instead of watching something that I'm making available for you. It's going to what? It's after 3 o'clock in the morning. You're so easily deceived and nothing I'm saying is working. So easily fooled. That was a troll and you cannot tell. Giving him scripture, patting him on the back, and the person is laughing behind his screen, literally laughing behind his screen to watch you, and you cannot tell that that is not a genuine believer. It's a person presenting to you an evil God. I'm going to address it. Presenting God to you as an evil person, as one who abandons people, as one who shows no love. Why does he allow suffering? Why does he allow pain? Why does he sit there? And you're busy defending God instead of discerning the core of the person. You cannot see the snake until he's fastened into your neck. A total fake. And I got sick of it and eventually banned him because no moderator is awake right now. It's just me. How can you not see that? And this is how they will get you. This is how they will come in the midst and talk about the beast system and say, oh my goodness, it's so difficult. And off you will go, running your mouth about the blog. And I've been trained by this. And they'll be just recording everything and then go and hang you somewhere. Then what would have been the point? What would have been the point of all of this, all these years? Noisy spirits cannot discern anything. Talkers will never hear God. And that's all I'm going to say. Talkers will never hear Jesus Christ. That's why if I'm not recording, you can't get 2 cents of information out of me. You meet me on the street, the most you will get out of me is hello and God bless you. Talkers will never hear the Holy Spirit because the Bible says in quietness and confidence will be your strength. But it's just babble. Babble, noise, talk, noise inside, noise in the mind, noise in the perception. Someone is sitting in the midst of you, laughing at you for over 2 hours. And I'm watching, and not a single person, besides the guy that I pinned, Agan, not a single person can say, I think you need to hush now. This is not about you. We came here to have a class. We came here to have study. I don't know why the video stopped, but if I have to guess, I think that the Lord really just thought it was enough because it was not going at all the way that I had hoped. I thought I was doing something helpful, but it clearly was not, on the whole, helpful. So God bless you. I'm going right back to the original format. There is so much information that needs to be presented, and I've been storing up that information for several weeks, and it's painstaking to put that information into a kind of clear documentary setting, a kind of clear flowing information setting, so you can see things that I was speaking about in 2024 and 2023 about the lies that undercut this nation. If you do not divest yourself of the lies of this nation because you think that this is my country, 'tis of thee, I have no idea what is going to become of you in the future. So God bless you all, and as soon as I figure out how to end this thing, I'm going to end it. God bless you and have a blessed rest of your day. Goodbye for now. Thank you.